Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh. Okay, I'll call the October 5th regular meeting of the Town of Rochester Town Board to order. Would you stand for the pledge of the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's the deputy town clerk. Do the roll call, please.
Councilman Coleman.
Here.
Councilwoman O'Malley. Here. Councilman Paddock.
Here.
Councilwoman Lisa. Here. President.
Here.
Thank you.
We have the acceptance of the agenda. The town board accepts the agenda as prepared by the town supervisor. As is often the case, we have 3 additions. We have addition of supervisor recognizing for the privilege of president for the privilege of the floor. We have 2 added resolutions. One is authorizing the supervisor to sign a business associate agreement. And one is a resolution to do a payroll increase for one of our constables who has achieved the probationary status completion.
And can we add a name to the in memoriam?
Absolutely. You want to just do that when we get there?
Sure.
I'll
make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I would like to recognize former councilwoman B. Haugen Depew for an announcement regarding the month of October, as she often has done in the past. So
I stand here each year as a 2-time breast cancer survivor, and I always say to men and women and more, men can get breast cancer as well. I stress very strongly to you gentlemen, maybe you cannot, but that if you have anything or you think you found something, go to your primary care, not just in the month of October, but all 12 months of the year. If you find something, don't be afraid to do something about it. Think, oh, it'll go away if I ignore it. It doesn't go away, it grows. And it can be life-saving if you go initially. And although each year I speak about breast cancer, this year I have something a little closer to my heart. And I think it's time that all cancers are recognized to say that they have improved so much on breast cancer that maybe they need to concentrate a little more on some of the others. My grandson is suffering from a rare spinal cancer. So although I stand here usually saying things about breast cancer, I ask that you keep anyone you know in your thoughts and prayers regarding cancer. But thank you again for letting me stand here. And like I said, it's better to get checked early. Don't wait for any of this, because it does not grow, it grows. And it's better to catch it in early stages. That way they can cure it. I know I'm still here. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, moving with the agenda. My apologies, we have gotten a little behind this week with illnesses in the town hall, and so the financial report has not been filed with the town clerk or with the board. It will be filed by email, and I will next Thursday at the latest. I do have the revenue report stuff. And Christina, I can give you these numbers later. The general fund revenue was $94,141.02. The highway fund, $594,467 and 86 cents. Bulk of that was our CHIPS payment. The expenditures with abstract 9, general fund, 58,622.66, the highway fund, 43,963.23, the capital fund, $1,200, the street lighting fund, $422.06, the ambulance fund was 0, the escrow fund, $9,526.11. The total expenditures for September for the general fund, $197,936.24. The capital fund, the highway fund, $92,560.72. The capital fund, $1,200. The street lighting fund, $422.06. The ambulance fund, 0. The escrow fund, $9,526.11. Correspondence report. I did receive correspondence from the county planning department. And I may have reported this last month because it came right at the meeting. So my apologies if I'm repeating it. We did have 3 parcels included in the New York State Ag District that were considered for designation. 2 parcels on Queens Highway that are a flower farm, and 1 parcel on Cherrytown Road that it is in vegetable agriculture. And those 3 parcels were applied and have been added to the Ulster County Ag District. I do have and will distribute to the board here copies of regarding for the budget, copies of the what was prepared by our HR consultant regarding a pay and grade. I will sort through these and give you, Steve, before you leave. But regarding a pay and grade adjustment, yeah, that he was proposing to get us back into a pay and grade cycle. And there are some various other correspondences. You have received them from the town clerk by email. We did receive one today from the New York State Cannabis Association. That may be the wrong name, but I'm asking our attorney to just address that with you. This is new ground for us. There is a micro business that has applied for a location in the town of Rochester. I did speak with their attorney either last week or early this week. She was fully aware of our moratorium, understands that they cannot do this until after the moratorium. But this micro business was not actually included in the original law. It is and it isn't. So Mary Lou and I are going to converse more, and I think we probably need to somehow include this micro business in our zoning schedule. It may be falling under the designation under a ag use, and like a farm brewery and a farm cidery. So we may not need to define it, but we're going to try to get clarification. It's in the code, but it's not really in the code. It's hard to explain. So it's new ground. We don't really know what it means. She's going to do some more research. I'm going to do some more research and be back to you with some more answers. But you were forwarded the email today from the town clerk.
And we haven't adopted.
We have not. We have not. And they are applying for a permit. This doesn't mean they haven't, but they are applying for a permit using that location. It happens to be the old.
Are applying for a state license. And they had to bring it to us and show the state that they brought it to us for the state to consider it.
So,
But I'll talk about it more later. I did a lot of research on it this afternoon.
oh, good. Thank you. Our supervisor's update, the O&W Rail Trail project. If you have walked it recently, the surfacing is, the resurfacing is completed. The drainage work is completed. They are now moving to a section of the O&W in Warsing that they are also working on. They will be coming back at some point when they're done with that to redo the bridges. The 2 bridges that are on our section of trail. The highway department will be paving the parking area, hopefully any day now. We have to coordinate with the contractor to just give it a final smoothing before we pave it. And also coordinate with the town of Marbletown, who we work with whenever we do paving projects, because they own a paver and we do a shared services agreement where they supply the paver and the labor for the paver. And in return, when they're doing paving, they utilize our trucks and our employees to haul. So whenever we kind of work jointly to do paving projects in the two towns, and it works very well. So don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but that should be happening soon. The Algerville Firehouse, before we get ahead, the further we get, we thought we had the whole water filtration system solved until it turned out that we were given the incorrect specifications for the filtration system. The project engineer is supposed to be getting me the correct specifications. I did get 2 quotes, which was required. The vendors that did the contractors that did the work are fully paid. This is just the conclusion of it. The 2 aspects that remain is we have to address the siren and the water filtration. The water filtration was not expected, and which is why it is an add-on, because when they initialized the existing or the new system, there was so much sediment that it was determined we need a filtration system in there. So now it's a matter of getting the right one. And people that have been paid off don't return phone calls easily. I would just leave it at that. So I spent about good 4 or 5 hours today on the phone with various people and trying to get correct answers. And I'm hoping we have some answers by the next few days. The Boys Mill Road Bridge is just continuing the progress. They are in design stage. No new news on that. The ARPA Park funding, we did approve the resolution to the county. The county was a little surprised at how quickly that got. They actually weren't prepared and ready for it. So she will be sending me, once the legislature approves it at their October meeting, she will be sending me a clean copy that doesn't say draft on it. That's the copy I'm supposed to sign, because I sent her back the draft copy and I said, do you remove the draft or do I? And she said, oh, I didn't think you'd send it this fast. So
I don't want to have the date issue.
oh, so the date issue was a misunderstanding of Mary Lou's and my part. It is 18 months from the day it is signed by the February 27th was the beginning of the project, and they backdated it so any work that was done in the beginning stages could be covered. But the ending date, we both read it as 18 months from February 27th. It's 18 months from the day it's signed by the purchasing agent. So that will be October or November. So, but thank you for asking that question. It did get resolved though. It was just a misunderstanding. Very good news. And I believe I printed this out, but let me find it. We once again, on the comptroller's fiscal stress score, scored a perfect 0. In this case, 0 is a very good thing. It means we do not rise to the level of a designation. That copy for you. This is the 4th or 5th year. Actually, this is the 5th. So this is for the 2022 finances. And the environmental stress score is also a no designation. Many of the environmental stress scores are out of our hands. Environmental doesn't mean the physical environment. It also means things like cost of living, real estate prices, things like that. So many of those things are a little out of our hands. But the fiscal stress, which is the part that we have a direct oversight of, we scored a perfect 0 of the last 3 years, and I can tell you we also scored it in 18 and 19. So congratulations to the board for that. The tentative budget for the public was filed with the town clerk and presented to the town board last Thursday. On September 28th, it is required to be presented by the supervisor by September 30th. The town board held one budget meeting already this past Tuesday night. We have 3 additional budget meetings scheduled, and the end of October, we will be changing the tentative budget to what is called a preliminary budget. That budget will be advanced for public hearing that I'm tentatively scheduling right now for November 9th, which is our normal workshop meeting. I will talk with the board more about that date, and we will do an actual resolution. We have to publish the amount of the budget in that resolution, so we can't do the resolution yet until we finish doing our work on it. So we will be setting that resolution the end of this month, but the public hearing will be November 9th on the budget. And we are starting out with the tentative, which is the department head's request of about a 5 to 6% increase, which equates to about $12 per thousand. Excuse me, 12 cents per thousand. About $12 per 100,000. We already lessened that in our first budget meeting, and we will continue to lessen that. Broadband meeting. The Ulster County Comptroller has a broadband, and excuse me for pulling out my phone. I have to get the date of the meeting. I forgot to put it in my agenda. It will be at the Kerhonkson Firehouse. It will be held next Wednesday, October 11th at 6 p.m. This is an opportunity for anybody who is having broadband challenges, whether that be availability, speed, and it's not just, it's broadband and Cablevision, and to a lesser degree, cellular service. They held one in Shandaken, which has significant broadband issues. She reached out to me and said, we'd like to hold one in the southern part of the county. So the Kerhonkson Firehouse is letting us use their place so we can do Warsing and Rochester together. But it will be 6 o'clock next Wednesday night, the 11th. And also, the Public Service Commission is holding public hearings. They did them virtually already. They have now scheduled some in person. This one will be at the Restorative Justice Center, which is on Broadway in Kingston. And this is regarding Central Hudson's proposed, I believe the number is a 16.2% rate hike for the transmission of electric. Your electric bill is 2 parts. Part of it pays for getting the electricity to your home. The other part pays for your usage. They're proposing a 16.2% rate hike. And that public hearing is on October 18th, a Wednesday night at 6 p.m. at the Restorative Justice Center. Parking is limited there. So I will give you sort of warning. They are doing shuttles. The county is doing shuttles from the Hannaford parking lot, which is sort of just around the corner from there. So if you get there and can't find parking, they are saying that they will do Ulster County area transit buses will shuttle people from the parking lot at the Hannafords to and I'm sure there'll be signage there. So definitely let people know. And I plan to attend, and I'm sure many other supervisors will be there. And I invite any of the town board members who wish to show up. I plan to speak on behalf of our residents as much as on my own. And the town, to be honest, we have at least 12 Central Hudson accounts, and they have been a nightmare trying to figure out what we owe and to which account, and they're crediting the wrong things to the wrong accounts, and it's a mess. I know Michael has experienced frustration. So, with all that being said, I'll turn it over to attorney for the town report, Mary Lou. You're muted.
Sorry, I was having one of my little coughing fits, so I muted
No
myself.
problem.
Thank you. So in the executive session that we have later on current litigation, I want to talk to you about an assessment litigation we have going on. So I'll save that for then. I have been reviewing the zoning that you folks have done so far, and I do have comments. I'm about halfway through. I apologize. Last week, it took me a while, but I finally got COVID. So that kind of, I lost a good week there. So I'll be picking that up again over the weekend. And then on the cannabis micro business thing that was dropped off, it's very similar to when somebody's applying for a liquor license. They have to let the town know, and then the town has 30 days to make any comments to the ABC board. In this case, it will be the cannabis board. And we can actually ask for an additional 30-day extension. So we don't have to make any decisions on that tonight. However, I looked into this micro business because that was certainly something new that they were not talking to us about when we were first drafting this law. The good news is I went through the regulations for local laws and local oversight, and these micro businesses, we are allowed to regulate in the very same way that we're doing the other two items under the cannabis. So we can just add them right in. Also, they've finalized the regulations now. So I will look to make sure that the things like how many yards from a church or a daycare, et cetera, are consistent with what we were proposing, because we used their laws initially, but they were just proposed. They weren't passed yet. So I'll look at those, and we can just put the micro right into there. And what I was looking at was to see just what it is. It has, as Mike said, it has a very vague definition in the actual law, but in the state regulations, this is really the equivalent of a brewery where the farmer grows the plants and the hops and things, and then they brew their beer, and then they can sell it retail, or they can have what would be a tasting room. So it's heavily regulated by the state with what they have to do for that, but we can put it into the zoning.
Can I ask you a question, Mary Lou?
Of course.
What is the nature of the comments that we would give?
You know, this is brand new because we're finally allowed to apply. People are just allowed to apply for licenses, I think this week. So if you have any, I mean, at this point, it may just be we're working on our local law. It may be, and I don't know that this site would have anything like that. We're too close to other things. They're not going to be able to comply with our zoning at that site. You know, you just have to look at, we don't have a lot of information because we don't have an application. This is just a notification that they've applied for a license. I'm getting them in my other towns as well.
Yeah.
It's been a busy day for, a busy week for that.
And I'm
Because-
aware, I'm aware of the micro business. I have one follow-up question I have about that is I noticed the location on this one is not in our county for their business operation. Are we allowed to prioritize micro businesses that are in our town versus like farms that are local to us or not? Okay.
Now, if they have the state permit and they want to come into our area, the permits are broken up by regional. They're
Yeah.
giving out so many permits per region. But yeah, I was gonna, to answer your question, sort of what Mary Lou said, the state is not gonna know where the nearest church or school is. So it's up to us to kind of look at this site within the state regulations, let them know this is, I think the state regulation, the proposed was like 500 feet from a church. So we would have to put it into the parcel. It makes it very easy. Parcel viewer has that circle function. So we put the property in parcel viewer and I click 500 feet. And as long as there's not a church or a school or a daycare facility or something like that, we may not have any comments. But if one of those were present, our comment back to the state would be, this location does not comply with the law.
Okay, so really it's like a first come, first serve, because we also have the relational location, so we have like certain parcels along 209 that this could happen, but they can't be within a certain distance of each other.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
So there's really nothing, we can't like say we'd want to have like a window. We can't do anything like that. It's kind of first come.
It is first come,
Okay.
first.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very much like when we get notified that someone's applying for a liquor license. I don't know that we've ever sent in any comments on those.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but, and so far as where the product is made, it's just like, we could have a tasting room in the town of Rochester under agricultural, but the grapes may be grown in the Finger Lakes.
I
They have to
know,
be
I
grown in the
know, I
state.
know. I just
So-
thought out because we have
Yep.
so, yeah, I know.
Same thing. I knew you knew.
And Mary Lou, I just have one question on it. They put Rochester, just Rochester. for
Well,
the
it says,
town, their
it says
address.
town, and that is the town we're in. Yeah, it doesn't have, it says town, and it's the
No,
town
when
of
they
Rochester.
list their like full address of the property, it's the street name and then Rochester only, not town of Rochester, just
Okay.
Rochester, comma,
Oh,
New York.
We'll look at it.
So I just
closer.
wanted- yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I did see that, but yeah, it said town, so. On the printed form, but that, yeah, that's fine. We can get them to correct that.
Okay, anything else, Mary Lou?
I think that's it at this point.
Okay,
Did you want me to talk a little bit about the one way, or do you have that on later? You have that on later.
no, that's on
too?
later.
Yeah,
That's
we can
on
talk about it later.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can weigh in on that later.
Yeah, if
So,
anything else I have is on the agenda already.
Christina, Kate, leave you a tax
Yes.
collector report?
Yes,
Or
we're still
town clerk?
finalizing the monthly report for September, waiting on bank statements and department monthlies. For Veterans Day, the Ackworth Fire Company is hosting a pancake breakfast on Saturday, November 11th from 8 to 10:30 at the Ackworth Firehouse. Breakfast is free to veterans and their spouse. A small fee will be charged to all others. They will have a variety of memorabilia and photos of our veterans around the room. The ceremony will follow at 11 a.m. at the Town Veterans Park to unveil the honor roll. The honor roll consists of 726 residents in the town of Rochester who served in our U.S. military. And for Heritage Day, join the 320-year celebration of the town of Rochester this Saturday on October 7th at Heritage Day. We have over 40 vendors, 4 bands, demonstrations, art show, car show, scavenger hunt, hay rides, food provided by the fire companies, historical information, all to begin at 11 a.m. This is a rain or shine event. All traffic will be detoured down Scenic Road. Senior and disability parking will be able to park in the municipal lot while all others will shuttle from the town park over. We will end the night with fireworks in the town park at dusk.
We hope if it doesn't rain.
If not, there-
Fireworks don't work in the rain.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So you did the Heritage Day report too. The highway superintendent, he apologized. He had a retirement dinner to attend this evening. He'd be unable to attend. We do have 2 new highway employees. One started in mid-September, Kevin Hoteling, and Alex Gente, I believe is the pronunciation of his last name. You know, it's Jente.
ENT.
Yeah. Started this past week. So they replaced one Wayne Gray who retired and another employee who left for another position. So we welcome both of those employees. And liaison reports. Aaron, start with you.
Sure. I'm just gonna give Raj notes. The planning board had a very busy agenda last month. I'm just pulling that up. They had some interesting new applications on the agenda, including one for a skate sculpture / sign in front of Skate Time, and then another was a application for the property on Airport Road for the Hudson Valley Seed Company headquarters. And then there were several minor 2-lot subdivisions and lot line adjustments that were on the agenda. So they also had the new board member seated, and so that was nice to have that position seated. For the ECC, I only just have the 2 announcements, which are that the 3rd Thursday this month is Get to Know the Wallkill Valley Land Trust, Protecting Nature for Life. So that's on Zoom, and that's going to be hearing about the history of the Wallkill Valley Land Trust and how they steward 3,000 acres of open space, trails, and farms in Ulster County, including the 22-mile Wallkill Valley Rail Trail. And that's Zoom, October 19th at 6:30 p.m. They also are doing the plastic collection at the transfer station this Saturday at 11:30. So you can do a drop off there. I don't know how many people watch our videos, but please do not leave your plastic bags there when there is not a volunteer attendant to inspect them for you. That has become a little bit of a problem recently. I'm not for the transfer station. I know we received correspondence about removing, I haven't been there since we got that. I don't know if they were able to coordinate the removal of some of the construction there, but that
Some of
may
it
not
was
be.
removed and I haven't been able to get over there. To
Okay.
See what.
So that's, if anyone notices the change, that is in process of happening. I have the September end of the month report from the Code Enforcement Office. And that is that for the month of September, the department took in a total of $20,326.02. They issued 59 certificate of occupancies and certificate of CNC.
Certificate of completeness.
Oh, of completeness, sorry. 32 permits, 13 municipal searches. They had 1 violation that they issued, and for inspections, they had 22 house inspections, 138 miscellaneous inspections, 1 addition inspection, 4 short-term rental inspections, 7 fire safety inspections, and 6 in-office consults. Busy month.
Very busy month.
Yeah.
The miscellaneous are things like fence permits.
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah, that's just like 138. And basically that's it for me.
Okay. Adam? Sure.
From the rec department, Ashley Sweeney, youth Halloween party, Friday, October 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. right here at the community center. Called the rec center to sign up 626-2115. There's youth pumpkin painting classes Tuesday, October 24th from 5:30 to 7:30. Also call to sign up. Our annual Thanksgiving luncheon will be Friday, November 17th. They've begun taking reservations for that. And of course, don't miss out on Heritage Day this weekend, and a reminder, it's a rain or shine event. From our constabulary, there were 21 direct calls from service and other duties in August of 23. I don't know if that was a cut and paste error. No, that was for September. 17 neighbor to neighbor quality of life complaints, 4 resident traffic complaints, Granite, Lower Whitfield, Sampsonville, and Clay Hill. 2 environmental complaints on Towpath and Cherrytown, 9 new buildings department violations, 3 court cases were open, 8 court cases remain open, and 0 were closed. Another busy month, traffic complaints from local residents, mostly speeding and ignoring posted stop and yield signs, as well as parking on many town roads have increased again. Garbage dumping of household trash and other debris on town roads is still an ongoing issue. Short-term rental properties continue to generate complaints, especially on holidays, Fridays, and weekends. Neighbor-to-neighbor complaints again have increased this month, with noise complaints still being the most common, but all have been diffused without further action necessary.
Very much. Michael.
All right, so ZBA, met this past month, they just had enough for quorum, they had 3 people there, so we still have that alternate position we need to get filled. But hopefully we can do that. They went through the seeker process for one of the ongoing applications. It was an adjustment for an area variance. They had some adjustments they needed for an area variance. They went through that process. I think there was actually some discussion about whether or not they needed to do seeker for that, which came up in the second application. That was a similar project. But I didn't go back and rewatch the video. So I don't know if they'd asked for clarification on that. But the next applicant actually had information about it not being a requirement. So
Many area variances are type 2 actions.
Yeah.
So they still need to consider seeker, but they just declare it a type 2 action. So
okay, so yeah, that was the distinction was where they were.
I'll clarify that with the chair.
So they had a public hearing for that. There were no comments, and then they opted to wait on making a decision until next month. There was no time sensitivity, so that was just held off on. The second application, they also had a public hearing. It's for a fence variance, and that was granted. Nobody comments at the public hearing. There was another applicant that was present, and I think they had to postpone that because they were still working out through some of the paperwork. They had a preliminary discussion, provided some additional information about what would be needed for the application moving forward. It also had some idiosyncrasies because there was an existing variance that a previous ZBA had given, and it wasn't clear whether they added to that or it was a new variance. I think it was decided it needed to be a new variance for that. And then there's still some clarification for an existing application where there was some confusion about why it was referred to the ZBA. And so they're, I believe, working with Mary Lou in the building department to figure out that.
Okay.
On the EMS front, so we received the budget requests from the EMS squads. Appreciate all the work that our advisory board's been doing to get that together. I know there was some additional clarification specific to KFAS's request. So I think at some point it might be worth having a discussion with the board. I know we have the advisory board, but I think if there are specific things as we go into budgetary discussions that the board wants to get answered. I noticed that we had the number that we had put in the preliminary budget was different from what the actual request was. So I think if we want to have them in here, if we want to have a discussion with them or have the advisory board submit specific questions, I think it's worth discussing as a board to figure out what information we want. I think you mentioned last week, going out to a private enterprise, it's definitely very expensive. So I think it's in everybody's interest to make sure that service has been great. They've been responding to the calls, make sure that we figure out how to collaborate between the town, the various different squads, and ensure that they continue to provide the service that we all value providing. I also spoke with Mr. Vitti at Marbletown First Aid Unit. So I think whenever we're going to be discussing that as part of the budget, he offered to be present in case of any questions that we want to have answered. So I think we should just extend that invitation to the 2 squads to make sure they're here. Didn't get a chance to link up with anyone from the fire district. I know we also got their budget, which we have obviously no input into, but that was submitted. And on spec, what's that?
There's a public hearing for that one.
Oh, is there? What, do you know what time?
6.
That's
It's the same as the,
Yeah, I think it's 6 P.M.
At the Equipar.
so we do have input.
We haven't, the board does not set the budget, but we have fire district. And then Spectrum, I sent the note back to Mr. Clarda, basically stating, yeah, the board is obviously willing to see alternate proposals. Tell us what areas are gonna cover, what the cost is, and if there are houses that you feel like is outside of the range, specify what those houses are. I also mentioned that county comptroller is collecting information, seeking input from residents across Ulster who have gotten price quotes from Spectrum. So, like his boss was on this one, so I replied all, and we'll see what they can say. So, that's it for me.
Are you able to attend that meeting next week?
Um,
And I apologize, I didn't check the date with you. We got a date that we could get it, that was available for her and the commission, so.
6 on the 11th.
Yeah, she set the date and time, but I told her I would be there, so.
Yeah, I'll try to be there, and I'll let the few people that have been talking to.
Yeah, anybody who we've been talking to, we should try to let them know.
Yeah.
The people that have been searching for service.
I know at least one person on St. Joseph, one person on Minnecahunt's. I don't know if you want to let the court rights know, or they've been talking to you about it.
No, the bells.
The bells, I've been in
Oh,
contact
okay.
with.
Court rights haven't reached out.
Oh, I thought so.
No, it's the neighbor to the court rights.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll reach out to that person. Thank you very much. Charlotte?
All right, so the elder care program, like normal, it's not their busy season yet, that tends to be the winter. Constable Rich Miller keeps reaching out though to people and attending events and informing them. At the country truck event, he was there and he did hear a lot of resounding reviews from people whose parents are in the program. So there is that, and the housing committee, I was unable unfortunately to attend their meeting last month. My daughter was sick with Coxsackie virus, so I did not want to spread that around to anyone. But I know that they made discussions about trying to hand out information at Heritage Day to get a booth, which unfortunately all of them were booked. So I believe their plan now is to have someone walking around with some flyers at some point, just to inform people what ADUs are and that we allow them in town. And I think that's all I want.
They did email me flyers and asked me to make copies, but there was no attachment to the email, so I replied back, please send the attachment. So we'll see.
It's got a text message from Constable Miller saying, I'm watching online. I did send the wrong report. Would you mind reading the correct report? I'll be happy to. The great thing about
Big brother is watching.
hey, listen, we're able to correct a mistake in real time, so no big deal, it happens. But this month in September, there was 15 neighbor-to-neighbor and quality of life complaints, 2 resident traffic complaints on Lower Whitfield and Sampsonville, only 1 environmental complaint right on Main Street, 3 new building department violations, 0 court cases were open, 11 now remain open with 0 closed. Interesting occurrences this month, they had special events taking place in the town. As Charlotte mentioned, the Little Ones Learning Center held an event where they the constabulary managed traffic crossing Route 209 in Accord. It was very well attended by many children and their families. In addition, a local brewery held a 2-day concert series where the constabulary was asked to manage traffic and noise issues. Traffic complaints from local residents primarily traffic complaints and from local residents primarily the ignoring of posted stop and yield signs, as well as parking along several town roads to remain constant. Garbage dumping of house full of trash and other debris on town road remains an ongoing issue, though many warnings were issued this month. Perhaps next month will show a decrease. Short-term rental properties continue to generate complaints, especially on holidays, Fridays, and weekends. This month, the main complaint was blocking of adjacent driveways. Neighbor-to-neighbor complaints have decreased this month, with parking and noise complaints being the most common. All have been diffused without further action. From our constabulary, take care.
Thank you very much.
And I have something to add. It's not a liaison to any of our commission boards, but the Homecoming Food Truck Festival is tomorrow night from 4:30 to 9 p.m. at high school. So if anyone wants to attend and help yourself to a bunch of food from the several food trucks that'll be there. Last year was pretty successful and they had some good food, so.
And then there's two, I know there's a boys football game in evening. Is there a soccer or field hockey game?
There's a
before that?
soccer game.
Soccer
Two
game.
homecoming this year. One is football, one is soccer. I believe football is Friday night and I think soccer is Saturday night. I think
Okay,
it's a
I
doubleheader, if I
maybe
remember.
misunderstood. I thought they were both the same night and it was like one and then the other.
From what I heard, it was two separate, but I wouldn't put it past them. They got very bright lights on the stadium next to.
Okay, thank you very much. Our assessor is in state training this week, so I was unable to get a report back from him. But I do want to report that in preparation of the budget, he provided me the assessed value of the town, and we added over $19 million in assessed value in the town. That's a combination of new construction of homes and development of properties. It's additions or improvements that people have made on properties. It also is catching things that were not on our rolls that exist. And so I want to thank our assessor's office for all their work. That will go a long way in hopefully not having a very large, if any, tax increase for next year's budget. Because as the value goes up, if the budget doesn't go up the same percentage, the taxes go down. So when people say my assessment went up, my taxes are going to go up, it's an incorrect statement. So I just want to put that out there. Just because your assessment goes up does not mean your taxes are going up. This body right here is in charge of the budget, which is what dictates the taxes, not the assessed value. And it's a misnomer that's out there. And that's why I always, if someone says he is the tax assessor, I always say, no, he is the assessor. He sets value. He doesn't have anything to do with taxes. Okay. I think that is all the liaison reports. Oh, thank you. Thank you. My apologies.
The HPC is looking to reschedule the Patagonia Hamlet Talk Series for October 14th from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Town of Rochester Courthouse.
Great.
That's it.
Hopefully we will not have rain that day. Yes. And hopefully not 80-degree weather either.
Okay,
Okay.
tomorrow there's girls soccer at 4 o'clock, home against New Paltz. And there is girls modified, oh, they have a bye, never mind. And there is a football game at 7.
Okay, I thought it was a doubleheader. Yeah.
I thought I had back-to-back days. My mother-in-law misinformed me. Tired music teachers.
It's okay.
Know about sports.
So now we'll move into the public comment section of the town board meeting. Anyone who wishes to speak, now is your time. We just remind you that you're speaking to the board, not to each other. It is not a question and answer session. This is your opportunity to speak to the board. If the board wants to reply immediately after the public comment section, there is another section where town board member time exists, and town board members may reply if they wish to. So with that, does anyone wish to speak to that? Yes, please.
Could the board notify the committee or the members of the committee for the EMS when you're going to be discussing that portion of the budget? Could we be notified in advance so that we can come and sit in on that and maybe help you answer some questions? And my curiosity, of course, what parcel on Cherrytown Road was changed to an ag? Cherrytown always interesting. And is this the first year for a shared services agreement with the county?
Okay.
Those are my three.
I can answer all three when we get to our time. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, please.
Joe Vinny, for once not a comment about EMS, and instead just want to compliment the board and the folks that were directly involved in resolving for what feels like a really excellent resolution to the swimming hole. That seemed to be a great success. Thank the board for its role in coming up and helping that solution along. We visited people quite a few times this summer and really much less chaotic.
Anyone else? Okay, so I will give answers. The first answer is simply yes. We will notify you. They are public meetings, but we will certainly make you aware. The second about the parcel, it is the parcel that is at the corner of Rogue Harbor and Cherrytown across the street from Camp Ravtov, which has been farmed for a period of time. They have now applied to the ag district for that parcel. And I apologize. Oh, the third, the county. This is not the first time. This is a renewal of one that has existed, I believe, for 5 years. And the county sent me the paperwork, and similar to the shared services we have with a number of municipalities surrounding us, we also have one with the county for shared services. It is not always utilized, but it makes it available. What it does is it allows us to utilize equipment on each other's behalf. The one thing though, because of liability issues and because of a very unfortunate incident and accident that happened when a member of one highway crew was utilizing a piece of equipment that was owned by another highway crew. Now, when we share equipment, we also share the operator for that equipment, which protects everybody better on the liability side. So the county has initiated this request because our is about to expire after 5 years of being in service. And to Mr. Biddy's comment, I have to give great kudos to the new owner of that property, who purchased it a year to a year and a half ago, and has worked very diligently to make it be a community site, and also worked with the town and the fire district. We had many meetings on site there to try to resolve. Our highway superintendent was involved. And I also want to thank the public for sort of following the rules. And they are trying to self-police it. The owner and his group of people are trying to self-police in terms of trash and garbage. It is private property, so the town has no oversight over how it's used, but we do have oversight over the roadway where there were traffic issues. So thank you to the owner, thank you to the public, and I think we're on a great road. We had a couple of learning moments this summer, but hopefully each year we will learn more and do better. So, any other board members care to respond to anything? And do any other board members have any other matters they'd like to bring up? Okay. So then moving on, we have been reviewing the granary project for quite some time. We at last month's meeting completed a negative declaration under seeker. I have prepared a draft decision, and my apologies that it was circulated to you guys so late last night, about 1 o'clock in the morning when I could spend, I believe. Since that time, Mary Lou and I went through it and found a couple changes, and this copy includes those changes. They were intended to be redlined, and somehow I think I hit accept because they did not come out in redline, but they are in the document itself. So as we get to each section, I will try to call out where we made changes. What I'm proposing tonight is that this will be a first for this town board. We have never really done a land use decision like this before, but this is back to the Mike Baden Planning Board hat days. Adam experienced this many times. We will go through this decision. When we get to sections, if the board wants to have any discussion, if you want to change any wording, if you want to add anything, if you want to take anything out, Mary Lou can weigh in as well. There are a number of sections where we will finish one section, and then I will ask for a motion and a second and a vote on that particular section. And then when we were all done, we will either approve or not approve local law 10, 2023, which is the local law that establishes for the creation of these parcels, or the designation, excuse me, of these parcels in the Economic Enterprise Overlay District. So with that, this will take a little bit of time, but I believe, as I did on the planning board, it's the right way to do it. It's done in public. It's not sharing a document from the attorney or from myself where I say, here it is, and then we just vote on it. This way the public gets to watch what we're doing. So the first page is simply a stating of the details of the project. We won't take time to go through those. They are directly out of what was requested and the property identification. Page 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6, excuse me, are a reiteration of what was included in the seeker, with the addition of the town's completion of the part 2 and part 3, which is on page 6, and that is number 11 and number 12 that were adopted on 9/14/23. Obviously, they were not included as part of that because what we adopted on 9/14 were those 2 documents. So that is the list of every document that the town board reviewed, received, references to correspondence that was received, references to public comment, both written and verbal, that was received. That because we are making that a part of this decision for reference. Next, on page 7, because we were required to refer this to the county planning board, we have to do a resolution to adopt or to overrule the county. So the recommended resolution is to accept the Ulster County Planning Board comments of approve as follows. There is the statement that is from their recommendation included there. I won't read it, but their overall recommendation is approved. So I would ask for, I forgot to make a copy for you on this. I only hit 5 instead of 5. I will take notes and get it to you. I apologize. I'd ask for a motion and then a second to approve or to accept their recommendations.
I'll make that motion.
And a second. This is just to accept their recommendations.
I'm just.
Oh.
reading it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just this one section on this page is all we're approving and adopting right now. Just to be clear, so,
I'll second.
okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion? So when the county makes a recommendation, we are required to either accept it or overrule.
So does accepting approve, does that mean that you're ultimately going to vote to approve the?
No.
No, it means we're accepting their
We're not.
comments. as proof.
Okay.
We're reading their comments, we're
So we're
saying,
acknowledging.
we're acknowledging that we received it and we're accepting their comments. This doesn't mean that we are approving, getting to our approval part later.
Just
So
a question about process.
Yeah.
If we were to reject their approval, do we have to tell them something?
yes, so if we differ, we have to overrule them by a supermajority vote, which means we would need 4 instead of just a simple majority of 3 to overrule them. We also must state in the resolution why we are overruling them. And then we must reply that back to them by statute.
So is it fair to say it's more germane when somebody had, when they've rejected, when I disagree?
So, quick county planning board lesson. The county planning board, there are a number of things they can do. They can simply say, approve. For local laws, essentially, they can say approve. They can make required modifications, and that is the one that is often overruled, because required modification is you must make the changes that we say you should make. You can overrule that by a supermajority. They also can make advisory comments, which are simply what they said, what that sounds like. They give you some advisement. You can choose to accept them or not accept them with no penalty. And then there is disapprove. And if they disapprove and we chose to overrule them against supermajority, and then the final is of no county impact. Local laws, though, have local laws have different responses back than, say, a project that's a local planning board is reviewing. They get required modifications. They don't usually get just simply approved. They get, sometimes they do, but they get required modifications or advisory comments or no county impact. No county impact means that the discussion of the project or doesn't rise to the level of the county impact. A local law almost always rises to the level of the county impact. So they usually will say approve, or they'll give advisory comments, or they will do required mod. As you saw when we did all those zoning laws, there were a number of required modifications. So by voting for this, all we're doing is saying we received these comments, we accept their comment. We will still be taking a later vote on the project itself.
Got it.
So with that being said, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so I'm reporting that as a 5-0 vote. And it is on October 5th. Thank you. Okay. Next, and this is called the findings of fact section. This is not required. It is something that I feel strongly about when you're adopting land use decisions, that you go through the process of stating what was presented and what was found by the board. This is the one where I'm sure we will have lots of discussion and input, and I welcome it. This is my first pass at it, or actually my second, because I made a first pass and then gave it to Mary Lou, and she and I made a few changes today. So as we go through, I will read it. If you have a comment or a question, ask it. You don't have to wait. And then if I hear nothing, I'll go ahead and read the next one and we'll just continue through. Number one is, I would say, the Town of Rochester Town Board hereby adopts the following findings of fact determined for and during the review of Accord LLC petition for inclusion in the EE zoning district of the Town of Rochester. So number one, Town of Rochester Town Board received referral of zoning permit 96 of 2021 from the code enforcement officer. The proposal for the parcel has been classified by the CEO as requiring town board approval for a zoning amendment to include the parcels in the EEO overlay zoning district. Number two, EEO zoning designation requires town board approval of the zoning amendment and site plan approval from the Town of Rochester Planning Board. Number three, the project additionally involves a lot improvement, also known as a lot merger, but the lot improvement is our statutory language, between 5 parcels. Number four, the application proposes adaptive reuse of the plus or minus 7.0 acre premises project site and vacant structures identified as the Granary Anderson Seed Mill and Supply Complex, the Steen Smith House, and the McKay House, parking, access facilities, utilities, and related appurtenances.
I just back on number 3.
Yep.
Do we need to say it involves a lot improvement between 5 horses before the zoning map is amended?
We're gonna get
That's-
to that.
okay.
So it just saying that it involves that 5 parcels are being proposed to be merged. What
Okay.
we're doing with it is coming up in the, these are just the findings. The findings are sort of stating the facts.
Okay,
And
I just
then-
didn't have
yeah.
time to read.
Yep.
through.
No, understood. And the decision would be where we address what you were asking about. So number 5, the granary ceased operations in circa 1970, and the granary improvements have been vacant and in a state of disrepair thereafter. The project site is located in the town of Rochester, hamlet of Accord. Number 7, seeker long form EAF proposed site plan and other related documentation, including details of access, parking, stormwater, water and sewage, signage, and building facade was received from the application during the town board review.
Mike, I'm
Yeah.
gonna interrupt for 1 minute. You and
Sure.
I had talked about this and I went back and looked where we're calling it site plan in here. In the law, it actually calls it a conceptual development plan.
Okay,
So if on those areas, we can change it to the conceptual development plan so
Yep.
that we don't get confused with the planning board site plan and the information that's in front of the town board.
okay. Is the board okay, if I do a word search? So wherever it says site plan that is not specifically referencing the planning board site plan, it's gonna be replaced with conceptual development plan. And that this is one of them, number 7. I'm just gonna notate it so I make those changes later. And as we go through, if we spot one, please tell me. So number 8, Renier and Larios PC and Dutton Architecture PLLC are representatives for the application. 9, Peak Engineering PLLC has been retained by the town board as the consulting engineering and planning firm for the processes of this review, or purposes, excuse me. Number 10, Riesling and Moriello PLLC is legal counsel for the application. Number 11, Mary Lou Christiana is legal counsel for the town of Rochester.
And I'm gonna correct you on that one too, because
Yep.
I know I'm new in the town of Rochester, but Mary Lou is 2 words, capital L.
You know, I've never, I bounce between the two because I've never known which.
I
was
know
correct.
you do. So I'll just put it on the record now.
Okay,
Thank you.
got it. Thank you. I wasn't sure if it was capitalized and I wasn't sure if it was 2 words, so.
It's all right. My brother can't spell it yet either, so.
Okay. As determined, number 12, as determined by the town board, applicable town of Rochester code subsections are as follows. And I went through the sections of the zoning code and identified which ones are, this review falls under. Economic Enterprise Overlay District, which is 148-18.1. The Schedule of District Regulations, which is 140-8. The applicability of regulations, which is 140-9. The Lot Development Standards, which is 140-10. The height restrictions, which is 140-11. The yard regulations, which is 140-12. The landscaping, which is 140-15. Site access, 140-17. Parking, 140-17. Loading, 140-17. Overlay districts, aquifer protection and floodplain development, 140-18. General commercial standards, 140-20. Signs, 140-21. Stormwater management, 140-22. Conversion of residential structures, 140-27. Site plan, 140-45 through 140-56. And lot improvement, 125-18. Number 13, the requested action involves 5 tax map parcels of land designated as parcels SBL 77.9-1-25, 77.9-1-27, 77.9-1-28, 77.9-1-29, 77.9-1-31. Number 14, the lot improvement involves the merging of 5 lots into one with removal of contiguous inner lot lines. The town board finds the zoning code for an EEO stipulates the EEO shall include parcels in their entirety, and the perimeter of EEO districts shall be coterminous with the platted property lines of those parcels included in said district. The town board further finds the parcels must be combined prior to the zoning map being amended. So there's your answer, Aaron, on that question. Number 15, the project site is proposed involves plus or minus 7.0 acres in total. I guess that's kind of a overlap of 4, but doesn't hurt. Number 16, the parcel is located in the Hamlet zoning district and the Aquifer Protection Overlay zoning districts pursuant to the Town of Rochester zoning code. Number 17, the proposed project seeks multiple uses of the parcels as follows: restaurant, tavern, coffee shop with indoor and outdoor dining. That is a principal permitted use with site plan review in the H district. A retail bike shop, which is a principal permitted use with site plan review. Artist gallery, which is an allowed use with special use permit. And co-work space, which is a principal permitted use with site plan review. Back of house and office space, which is a principal permitted use with site plan review. Inn, which is a principal permitted use with site plan review. And worker housing 2 units, which is a principal permitted use. Number 18, analysis of the proposed uses against the schedule of district regulations by the town board for the Hamlet zoning district. Identifies the uses are all allowed uses as detailed, actually it should say as detailed above, not below. And the minimum lot area of use is 1 acre per use in the Hamlet zoning district. The town board notes multiple permitted uses under conventional zoning requirements would require a special use permit. Number 19, the town board finds, not funds. The proposed uses, oh, did I repeat this? I did.
Which one are you?
Well, 18 and 19 say the same thing. I'm sorry, I was cutting and pasting and moving things around, and I realized 18 and 19 say exactly the same thing, or similarly the same thing. So we can decide if we need pieces of one or the other, but so it says the town board finds the proposed uses are currently allowed in the H zoning district. It would not be a change from allowed uses on other parcels, which is different than what 18 is saying. The town board notes the EE designation has been sought as the project is a complete plan for the use of multiple parcels be combined with several uses all working together, create a neighborhood type of feel and a walkable destination site utilizing buildings which have been left to, and it's supposed to say deteriorate.
You can just take out the first sentence
Yeah,
of 19.
I would agree. Is everybody okay with that? So we're taking out the first sentence up through the word parcels. Do we want to combine 18 and 19 into one since they're talking about the same topic? Or do we leave them as separate?
I don't think so.
I think they're gonna screen it.
Okay, we'll leave them separate, but we will remove that first sentence and then add the word deteriorate, which I neglected to type. Number 20, a gateway discussion meeting coordinated by the Ulster County Planning Department was requested and conducted on 5/20/22, involving representatives from Ulster County Planning, Town Supervisor, Town Code Enforcement Officer, Ulster County DPW, Ulster County Health Department, Town of Rochester Planning Board, the attorney for the town, and application representatives. Mary Lou, are there any other people that you remember that were in that meeting? Those were the only ones I remember. I did not have the attendance sheet available to me. Think you're muted.
I'm reading through them. I don't think that we're missing anyone. Yep, we have DPW.
Yeah, DPW and the health
Yeah.
department, you know, they were present. And I know the planning board was present. I know you were there. I know I was there. I know Jerry was there. And
Was Jeff there?
Jeff was not there.
Okay.
Easy. No, they were not there. They often do not attend those. It's easy to get the county representatives to come to the meetings. It's not always so easy. Once in a while. We do. Okay. Number 21, the application was referred to the Ulster County Planning Board, which returned a comment of approved, dated 5/3/2023.
I think it's just approve.
Got it. We'll get rid of the D. 23, the application was referred to the Town of Rochester Planning Board, which returned a reply of no comments on 8/28/2023. The application was referred to the Town of Rochester Code Enforcement Officer, which returned a reply of no comments on 8/9/2023. And those are all three parts of the section of code that are actions we must take during the review. 24, the application was classified as a type 1 action under seeker. The town board offered the option to assume lead agency to all involved agencies, and having no response indicating such request, assumed lead agency status of the review. The application was amended multiple times with update to the EEF long form part 1 with resulting changes as was required. Town board reviewed and adopted a part 2 EAF long form and subsequently prepared and adopted a part 3 EAF long form. A negative declaration was adopted on September 14, 2023. 25, analysis of existing conditions on the site reveals the site. The site contains 6 structures: pole barn, the granary, the tall barn, Sears house, 4 towpath and 8 towpath. Various accessory structure sheds. I counted 3 and then I kind of lost track. Some of them are very, very tiny, so I put various. 5 remains of foundations of former structures and various other driveway and interior roadway, sidewalk, water and septic improvements. I don't think the comma should be there after water. What do you think, Michael? You're the Oxford comma guy.
Good Oxford.
Okay, we'll leave it. Those formerly may have been landscaping. However, the site is currently overgrown with some open areas. The main property has been unused for decades. The 2 towpath buildings have been utilized more recently. Number 26, the application proposes no additional structures to be built and interior and exterior rehabilitation of the existing structures. 27, the town board finds local building permits would be required for such work. The developer should seek advisement from the code enforcement officer regarding removal of the lead paint as to what permits or processes may be required by law. Number 28, the town board notes a wellness center was originally proposed and removed from the application during the review process. Number 29, the application proposes partial residential use of the 4 towpath road structure in addition to back of house operations. The application notes this structure was utilized in a residential manner with 2 apartments when they acquired such, however, was in a very bad state of repair. 30, the town board finds the continuation of the structure for worker housing will continue the use of housing as the community is in dire need of housing structures. The change will not remove housing from the town. The town board further finds such housing has been committed to remain long-term housing and not become a short-term rental use. Number 11, the application proposes disturbance of 0.9 acres of land surface. Number 32, the town board finds the action will not require the issuance of a speedies general permit for stormwater discharges. And we give the number by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for construction activities disturbing in excess of 1 acre of land. 33, the application provided a threatened and endangered species habitat suitability assessment report from their consultant. The town board further reviewed the EAF Part 1, indicating the project site does not contain any identified endangered or threatened plants or animals. The DEC corroborated this statement. 34, the town board finds these answers raise no concerns requiring further review. Mary Lou, is that someplace where I should say further review of habitat for clarity? I think you're muted again. One of Mary Lou's sort of general critiques was that some of them refer to the previous one and that we should be clear in each statement. So
Yeah, I would make a reference to that, Mike. So
Okay.
it's clear, because that kind of looks
Okay.
like, so, and we were done.
raise no concerns requiring further review for habitat.
And from now on, when you ask me a question, say, hey, Mary Lou, unmute yourself and answer this question.
Got it.
Mike,
Yes,
before we go on, can we back up to 30
yes.
for a second? The changes, the wording on it, the changes will not remove housing from the town of Rochester. It had 2 residential building. I think we should take that sentence out because it was 2 technically residential buildings, that one of which is being changed over to a non-residential use, even though it wasn't disrepair.
Okay,
It's not, no longer residential then. So
Okay.
I don't agree with that sentence.
so we will just remove that sentence. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Is everybody else okay with that?
Yeah.
Is it the 2 sentences? I think we can just keep the last sentence, say the town board finds such housing has been committed to remain long-term housing, become short.
Okay, so you want to remove the first, there's 3 sentences. So Charlotte's saying remove the middle sentence. The second sentence, you want to remove the first one as well?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, do we need to make that statement?
Well, one of the comments was that we were taking housing away. I mean, they are still creating 2 housing units, and the building that it is in was 2 housing units previously. It was an upstairs and a downstairs, so.
I think the first sentence is fine.
Okay.
The sentence should be removed. And then
No problem with removing the
the
second.
third sentence. The town board further finds that such housing has been committed to remain long-term
Yep.
housing. They've only stated, the applicant has only stated that it will not become a short-term rental. They haven't said that they will not convert it into something else. So
Okay.
we can put, I would
Let's just say it
to
has been committed to not become a short-term rental use. Okay,
I'm fine keeping the first sentence.
Okay. so we'll do that. And we're gonna say, we're gonna strike the words remain long-term housing and. So it will say, town board further finds such housing has been committed to not become a short-term rental use. And to give you further, when we get into the conditions of the decision, I am proposing that we say it must not be a short-term rental use. This is our findings, so this is not where we impose conditions. This is where we're just stating what happened in the discussion, what was proposed, our reactions, changes we made. This is sort of the summary of 2.5 years of review, or 2 years of review. Okay, so everybody's okay with the changes we made on 30, so we struck the middle sentence and we struck remain long-term housing. Everybody's, okay. So we left off with 34, so I'm gonna go something on 35. Are we okay with that? Okay. The application submitted documentation from the Ulster County Board of Health providing detailed wastewater discharge flows. In addition, the presented concept, yep, so I'm gonna just underline that, so I remember to change it. Yep. That's what our code calls it, so Mary Lou was right, I thought it did call it a site plan, so, and I didn't have time to look it up. CDP? Yeah, a CDP. We could, no, never mind. I'm not
You
gonna
have
lie.
to add it.
Yeah. In addition, yeah, I can do a search and replace. In addition, the presented CDP, thank you, Adam, details the location and types of the proposed and existing sanitary system. 36, the town board finds the presentation of such preliminary information is sufficient for the EAL review and notes a speedy's wastewater permit will be required prior to any construction start. This will be addressed during planning board site plan review. This one does stay as site plan. 37, the application provided the estimated water usage for the project site to the Ulster County Health Department once developed as proposed. The Health Department provided return letter agreeing with the calculations. 38, the town board finds well permits are a function of review by the Ulster County Health Department, and such permit will be a condition of site plan review by the planning board, also remaining the same, the site plan. 39,
Is
the
it a condition of site plan review or a condition of certificate?
it, usually the planning board puts a condition that you must get a health department permit.
Okay.
And then the actual acquiring of it is confirmed by the code enforcement officer before they give the CFO.
Okay, got it.
So the planning board mandates it, even though they have to do it. Whether the planning board mandated it or not, it's still required for a CFO. But usually it's put in the list of these are the permits you must secure.
Well, do we want to state it that way? If it's, even if it's optional, or if it is optional for the planning board to do it?
It's not, you're saying.
Well, it's optional for the planning board to do it, but they usually put all those permits in. And they usually, the final one is usually any other permit which may be identified as being needed. So
Should we just say may, such permit may be a condition of site plan review by the planning board?
Well, it's definitely.
I would put that it will be addressed, should be addressed by the planning board. Because you can't say you must put this condition in planning board.
That's my point.
Okay,
We're
now I
not required
understand.
to do
But they
So
are required to do it to get a certificate of occupancy.
it. Right, but that's.
Yeah, but that's state law. That's,
well, but should we say that
I
then?
think
And such permit will be a condition of certificate of occupancy and just end there?
based on the uses.
Right, I'm seeing what Aaron is saying. Then we're not even addressing the planning board because even if the planning board never even talked about it, it's still required. So if we say, and such permit will be a condition, or such permit will be required to be secured prior to certificate of occupancy. So such
Being
permit
issued by
will be, it's not issued by code enforcement, it's not issued by
building department.
county. Oh, okay, yeah, such permit will be required to be secured. Prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy. The only person who can issue a certificate of occupancy is code enforcement officers. This is why we do them in person. We all group changes. Okay, 39, the application plan indicates no water bodies, wetlands, or other natural resources of concern it should say are located, I think, on the site or immediately adjacent to the site. So if everybody's okay, I'm gonna add the words are located. The DEC corroborates this information. Number 40, the town board finds there are no concerns regarding water bodies, wetlands, or other natural resources of concern on the site. It is noted the project site is located in the 500-year floodplain. 41, the application plan indicates the project site is not in a New York State agricultural district, nor does it contain important agricultural soils. 42, the town board finds there is no loss of agricultural land and further notes the sites have been previously developed and disturbed. 43, the application identifies the project site as being included in the Accord Historic District, included on the National Register of Historic Places in 2019. Additionally, the project site indicates the area is designated as sensitive for archaeological sites on the New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation Office site inventory. Additionally, the project site is known to be in the area of the D&H Canal, a historic site. 44, the application supplied a construction inventory and communication between Joseph Diamond, consultant to the applicant, and SHPO regarding these matters. 45, the town board finds the concerns of historic and archaeological review have been addressed and concurs with the findings of SHPO. The board notes the application seeks to restore the structure to their former self, and the property owner will be seeking or has sought grant funding for such improvements. 46, the parcels have road frontage on Granite Road and Towpath Road. These highways are maintained by the Ulster County DPW and Town of Rochester. It should say Town of Rochester Highway. And just for an informational point, in talking with the highway superintendent, it's not actually the intersection of Main Street, Granite, and Towpath where the county's jurisdiction stops. It actually goes a little bit onto Towpath. He's not sure the exact point, but it's approximately where Tobacco Road is where the county stops maintaining. So there is a very small section of towpath that is maintained by the county. Why that's important is when we talked last meeting about a possible freeway stop sign there, I was saying we would have to approach the Town of Rochester Highway Superintendent for the stop sign on the towpath side. That's what prompted this discussion. He informed me that that entire intersection is the county's responsibility. So we have not sent that letter yet, but we will be sending that letter and addressing the entire freeway intersection with the county. 47, the town board finds these, and it probably should say road frontages. Exceed zoning district required standards. 48, Main Street, also an Ulster County maintained road, is adjacent to the project site. These roads are designed to collect and move traffic towards US Route 209 and US Route 4455. 49, a traffic study and report was conducted. Actually, it should say a traffic analysis. It was not a study.
Thought it was traffic count.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Well, they analyzed, they got the counts, they analyzed the projected increase in trips. So, yeah, okay.
So on 48.
Yep.
Is that, should it just be the road, this road is designed to collect and move traffic?
Well, it's Main Street and Granite is the one that takes it to 4455. So these roads, it's sort of referring to back to 46, where we talk about they have frontage on Granite and Towpath. And because Main Street doesn't actually front their property, I was just indicating that Main Street is also a collector road. I'm happy to phrase it differently.
You could just pull 47 into 46. Then it would make more sense at 48 follows that.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Do you want to actually, Michael, just combine 46, 47, and 48 into one statement?
Okay, well,
Okay, we will do that then. We will combine those. Because those are all just the facts of the process. So 49, then we're going to say a traffic analysis and report was conducted and presented to the town board. The town board referred such report to the town's project consultant. Number 50, the town board finds in concurrence with the town's consultant that the projected uses are not likely to generate more than 500 trip ends per day or create specific traffic issues. That was the statement that she made in her response back to us, and I cut and pasted it into this finding. 51, the town board further notes the indication on the plan of a proposed three-way stop signalized intersection at Main Street, Granite Road, and Towpath Road, as well as painted crosswalks for pedestrians. 52, the town board notes these roads are under the jurisdiction of the Ulster County DPW, and the property owner has no oversight of such. The town board will, however, petition the Ulster County DPW requesting installation of such traffic calming safety devices for vehicles, pedestrians, and bicyclists. Since we already did a resolution, do we want to, instead of saying petition, should we say the town board, or should we say the town board has resolved or has adopted resolution? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Make it clear.
So instead of saying the town board will, however, petition, we're going to say the town board has resolved or has adopted resolution. A resolution.
and adopted.
To petition the Ulster County DPW. 53, the application includes proposed traffic signage. 54, the town boat, did we add as was requested by the town board? Because that was not initially, and it was added after we requested it.
I'm fine with that.
You have a comma there, like we were gonna put it there anyway.
I was channeling my inner editing. Okay, number 54, the town board notes such as being indicated on the plan and further notes the review of such will be continued under site plan review by the planning board. The town board further desires wayfinding signage be installed to both the location and the potential off-site parking locations should such exist. I want to take a second to say, they have asked us for 6 parking spots in the municipal lot. We have not entered into discussions with them about that. We have set the parking number at 63, which means they have to identify 6 sites, 6 parking spots somewhere else. They've asked us about it. It's not a part of the EEO discussion if we don't come to an agreement, but by noting this in the decision, we are saying they have to provide, and I will say it later, they have to provide 63 spots in some manner or form. That's not to say that they couldn't potentially, I'm just an example, they couldn't buy another piece of property or they couldn't negotiate with somebody else. I just didn't
Could they add more
want,
to the site plan?
what's
When they go to
that?
the planning board, could they add more to their site plan?
That's again a Mary Lou question. Mary Lou has basically said that I think they can add more, but if they add more, then they have to start recalculating their stormwater and everything. So I think the planning board could say you need to change your parking spaces. I think that under site plan review, they certainly have that agreement. What we are doing with this is we are saying the conceptual development plan.
Well, in the EEO law, we say the parking requirement.
Okay,
It's It's
That
in the law
She just answered the question.
that we say what it is.
So we're saying it's 63.
We're saying it's 63, they have to come up with the.
Come up with 63.
somehow.
But the reason I'm putting this in there is, and they have asked us for 6 spots in our lot. We have not opened that discussion yet. Before they can get their final approval, they need to have provided for 6 additional off-site spots some way to create the 63, or they have to find 6 more spots on their site. I guess they could do that too, as long as they end up with 63.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
wondering.
yeah.
We've set the number, how they
Right.
achieve that number.
Yeah, in the review, it gives that on us. We're supposed to base it, we can base it on feedback from the planning board, but it says that the town board determines the
Okay.
required number. of
Thank you,
places.
Aaron, for that clarification. I appreciate that.
So the
That's
planning-
right, Mary Lou, sorry.
Yes, it is. Yes,
So
it
the
is. And
planning
maybe
board-
they'll make an agreement with a neighbor where a neighbor will give them a parking easement or something, or a lease.
And just to
But
be clear,
whatever it is, it's got to be permanent.
and that's what I was gonna say. If they do make an agreement with the neighbor, it has to be a lease and be filed with the decision, because those 6 spots have to be able to be available in perpetuity. So it's gotta be a part of their deed, an easement, and be a part of their deed. So if that property next door is suddenly sold, those 6 spots stay with the land. So, but that's why I just was clarifying, and Mary Lou and I had a long talk about this, which is why I stopped here. Because I originally said, should such contract be negotiated with the town board? And then I just simplified it to say, should such exist? Because there may not be off-site parking when they're done. When they're done, they may have 63 on the lot. So is everybody okay with the wording of 54 the way it is? Are you okay with it, Mary?
Well, Mike, you changed it a little bit and you gave these guys the changes, but you didn't email me the changes.
Understood. I understand that, because I finished it at 6:20.
Right, no, that's what I figured. I just
Yeah.
looked in my email before we started to say, did he shoot
No,
one
I
off?
didn't, I
No.
was trying to
If-
get
if-
free.
You could reread it and I would appreciate that if you could reread
Okay,
it.
understood. So 54 states, the town board notes such as being indicated on the plan, and further notes the review of such will be continued under site plan review by the planning board. That's still the same. The town board further desires wayfinding signage be installed to both the location and the potential off-site parking location, should such exist. And
That's
the
good.
wayfinding goes back to Aaron's request that there be wayfinding signage, which is off-site signage that can also be part of the planning board review. So you're okay with it,
I am.
Aaron? Does it satisfy your wayfinding concerns?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody else okay with the wording? Okay. 55, the application details proposed inner walkways, both existing and proposed for pedestrian access. 56, the town board finds such are located to efficiently move people from parking to buildings and from building to other buildings. The town board recognizes some paths are specifically designed for ADA compliance, and that was notated on their plans. The town board notes that additional review will be undertaken by the site plan review of the 57, the town board notes access to the site may be by bicycle. Bicycle racks will be recommended for inclusion. By putting this in there, the planning board is going to get a copy of this. And so hopefully they will require bicycle racks. It's a big thing that the county really insists on projects. 58. Here we go. The application proposes 57 and let's say on-site parking spaces with gravel surface. This was increased from the original proposed under review request by the town board. 59, the town board finds the required number of spaces under the zoning code is 63 spaces detailed as follows. The inn, bless you. Inn is 19 spaces, the restaurant 25 spaces. The retail, which is the bike shop, is 5 spaces. The office, which is the co-work, is 10 spaces. The gallery is 4 spaces. And that was from the site plan that was presented to us, where they broke it down.
Do these include the number of spaces required for employees
Yes.
that are within these
Yeah.
numbers?
Yeah. The total number of spaces within the zoning coding, it includes employees as well.
Oh.
It's for the use of the property, which is both customers and employees of that use.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. And if somebody can do the math real quick and just double check that that does total 63,
It does.
because I forgot to do that. It does.
So we have, when we list out the uses in 17, we have 7. Should we make sure that, like, we don't have the worker housing here? Is that included?
The worker housing was included in,
No.
They included that in theirs in the employee required.
Is that associated
like
with
double.
any of these specifically, or is it generically?
There's,
I can't remember where it was. There was 2, Michael, that were combined. I think the inn was 15 and 4 on the site plan. We
I
can-
have it.
You got the site plan handy?
Oh, no, I don't have that. I'm saying the,
This was taken directly off the last site plan that we received from them.
the way
Was
they
on
have
the
in the resubmission packet from August.
August 10th,
Yeah.
18th, sorry.
The, they factored it in with the N, which is like.
So I wonder if we should just notate it that way, say in and.
Yeah.
So on the,
Oh, Adam. got
yeah,
it.
on this one here, they designated those 4 spots for employee parking for the house. It
Yeah,
is part of the 63. I
But-
counted out the spaces.
yeah, but I just
But I'm
want to,
not sure.
yeah, see, there's a more recent plan than the one you're holding. There's one where on page 2, they detail all the parking needs.
Yeah,
Because our zone.
No, it's not with restaurant. I think it's with the inn. I'm sorry, I've got all the documents here together and I just gotta find the one we're talking about.
I'm just making sure you use the rest.
how did it in with the hotel employee, 1 space, 17 rooms. And then housing, 1 space for 4 employees, so the 19 includes 2 employee housing spaces. So it just says, so that the housing
Yeah, it's
is included in the 19.
It's hotel / employee housing, and they were calling it hotel. Our description is actually inn, and it's 17 rooms, which is 1 space per room. And then 1 space per 4 employees is the 2 spaces. So we can certainly, let's just change it then, Michael, to inn 17 spaces, worker housing 2 spaces.
I'm trying to remember now, I went back at 17, so the artist gallery and co-workspace. That's not involving the pole barn. That's,
That is the whole, yes, we're factoring, before they didn't include that square footage in their parking calculations. That's one of the updates that they
That
did.
was the last update. they
Is we
did.
asked them, they don't actually have a plan for that space, but they did that so that there would be parking calculated.
I thought the
It's the
co-work
square-
space was above the restaurant and the artist gallery was in the coal barn, which is. what
Yes,
they added.
that's what that is.
So I wonder if when we list that out in 17, if we should break those out into 2 separate letters.
I kind of, I'm following their site plan, which I'm looking at right now. So it's a hotel / employee housing, the 17 spaces for the hotel, 1 space per room, and 17 rooms. And then The housing is one space per 4 employees. They're saying they're gonna have 8 employees, so they're saying 2 spaces. So that's 19. The restaurant is 1 space per 50 square feet, or the alternate is 1 space per 3 seats. They are saying 75 seats, 1 space per 3 seats is the 25. The retail, which is the bike shop, 1 space per 175 square feet. They are saying they have 724 square feet, which is 5 spaces. It's actually 4 and a little bit, but the office space, they are calling that the co-work use, 1 space per 200 square feet. They are saying it is 1,881 square feet, so that is 10 spaces. And the gallery space, 1 space per 175 square feet, and that is 700 square feet at 4 spaces. So,
So I think the numbers are right. What I'm saying is on 17,
Yep.
we have the gallery and the co-workspace combined.
yeah,
They're
and
separate buildings, I think.
you know what, we should change 17 then,
That's what I'm saying.
because originally, and I think Michael, you're 100% correct, originally, which is where I took those uses from, they were combined in the same space, and then they changed it. So, so I'm just gonna add, so it'll be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We're gonna split out. We're gonna split letter C, it'll be C and D. And then the back of house and office space, that's not the co-work space.
Right.
That's their office space.
But that's considered a separate use, or is that not a use associated with the?
The back of house is in the residential with the, or
Right.
with the housing.
Which-
The, on the
right,
office
so-
in the resident space.
Right. So, no, okay,
Yeah, the back of house. and
you know what,
office space,
we should just take out the office space in the back of house, because I think originally they were thinking back of house is the office. So I think we're just gonna call it the back of house and take, in 17, we're gonna take out the office space. Because it's the same thing.
They're in separate buildings.
Different offices. This
No,
is
yeah.
the office for them to operate, not the co-work space. Or is it co-work?
No, but I follow that, but the office is in a separate, this specific office is proposed inside the building with the restaurant. The back of house is proposed in the workforce housing.
Agreed.
It's 2 separate buildings.
Right,
That's what I'm
but-
saying. Should they be?
But in
Listed accordingly with
17,
those buildings.
we're just talking about uses of the property. It doesn't matter if there's different structures, it's still the same use.
Affiliated with the restaurant, yeah.
Right.
Which doesn't count as a use.
Right,
Back of house.
That's what I was asking.
Yep.
So,
Back of house is part of,
Part of the, okay. I see
you
what
know,
you're saying.
we,
yeah, I feel like it's.
should
confusing.
we just take the back of house
I think
totally
we
out?
should, because it's not on our
Okay.
schedule
Okay,
As a use.
right. Yeah,
And
I
we're not
mean,
counting-
we were calling it kind of office space, so we're gonna have A, B, so we're gonna have restaurant, tavern, coffee shop, which are all the same. Retail, bike shop, artist gallery, letter D will be co-work space, letter E will be in, letter F will be worker house.
Yeah.
On 17. We're not gonna mention the back of house. It's
Right,
in-
it's-
Yeah, storage is storage related. with the
Right.
business.
We're
Fair
not
enough.
mentioning the kitchen separately.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so I have something to bring up for the parking. So
Tell me a number, so,
this is 59, the one that we were on.
okay.
So this says the town board finds the required number of spaces under the zoning code is 63.
Right.
But that is not true. So we gave them the number of 63, but if we were to do it according to our zoning code, it would be a different number.
Well,
Because our code
So-
has different,
so I'm following their calculation here though, which they used our code.
no, they
No,
didn't.
no, they
They
didn't.
didn't?
Alan said that these codes from towns similar to ours.
Oh,
around here.
okay.
The restaurant, we don't have one for,
Okay.
ours is one for 50 square feet of Warrior restaurant.
Okay, so,
And then also on the inn, the discrepancy is they're counting the employee spaces which are required for the inn. They're also counting those as for the housing.
Yes, I was gonna
So
say.
that's
they're
like a
dipping.
double.
Oh,
dipping
because,
on-
yeah.
They're saying, they're kind of saying employees are gonna live here, so
But there are 57 spots on their site.
yes, but I'm saying this number is not according to our code.
Okay,
It's more like.
so the way to
we have
fix this is, let's just simply say, town board finds, town board has determined the number of parking spaces should be 63 spaces.
Yes.
So,
Could it be that the applicant found that number, not anything to do, because we didn't find that number.
well, no,
when they
but
requested it.
by where they presented it, just like anything else, we're finding it, meaning we're agreeing with that.
Should we agree with that later?
No, because this section is about parking. So we have to make a finding on the, so we have to make a
That-
finding on the number of, just let me finish, please, Mary Lou, sorry. We have to make a finding on the number of parking spaces somewhere.
Yeah,
Right,
and we just.
these are statements of fact. Okay,
Yeah. Okay, Mary Lou, sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that was their proposal. You were finding that that proposal is adequate.
Town board has found the number of parking spaces to be 63.
No, it's not just the required, it's not just the number of parking spaces. They presented that. We're saying that we find that to be adequate. Should we say based on their chart or based on their
I would,
presented plans?
this is my
Based on-
proposal. My proposal would be that the applicant proposed the following spaces. And then in our 73, where the town board finds the following, where we could say that that we accept that as the requirement.
And 73?
There, 73 is the town board finds the following, and it's our findings,
Yeah,
right?
I was just trying to keep everything with a topic in the same area for later people reading it. So that's why I wanted to do our finding of the parking after we mentioned what they have presented. Throughout the whole document, that's how I've been doing it, is doing our finding immediately after.
Well, okay, so I feel comfortable saying, but I feel like it should be two statements,
Okay,
that the
tell me
applicant
what you, yeah.
proposed the following.
Which we're saying they proposed 57 on-site parking spaces with gravel surface. How about we say the gravel surface?
Well, I'm talking about 59. So the
Right.
59 is where this is what the applicant proposed.
But we say that exactly in 58.
No, we don't. We say that they.
no,
Oh,
that's
right.
57, this is 63.
That's 63, not following our code.
So we can
Okay.
say the applicant proposed.
Can we somehow combine 58 and 59 then to just be what the applicant proposes? So should we say the applicant proposes 57 on-site parking spaces? And can we bring 61 into it, say, and 6 off-site parking spaces?
Yes, I would just say, if you want to combine 58 and 59 into one, I would make 59 start, and then after E, then say the application proposes 57 on-site and 6.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yep. So is 59 then okay the way it is, where we start out with that as 58?
I think it needs to say the applicant proposed the following parking numbers.
So we're gonna take this all out. So we're gonna say the applicant, and this is gonna be 58 now, right?
Yeah.
Let me just write this up top here. The applicant proposed 63 parking spaces delineated as follows.
Can we
Or
say the
detail.
applicant proposed the proposed Okay, never mind.
I want to put
Never
the
mind.
63 in there.
I do,
The
I
applicant
agree.
proposed 63 parking spaces detailed as follows. Which, what we just said is exactly what's on their proposal.
Okay. Got it.
And then the new 59 will be the old 58. And is the next line. And then should we bring 61 and make that 60? We'll just skip the EV part for now, because I just wanted to bring that in because the county is really pushing EV. We did talk about it. We're going to add it to our code that we're going to adopt in December, hopefully. So I think we need to bring it to the planning board's attention, but for the minute, we'll skip 60. And so with the current 61, the application proposes utilizing 6 spaces at the nearby town municipal public parking. We make that the 60. Everybody okay with that? Okay. Then 62 will become 61, and let's just work through it. Town board finds a need exists for the 6 off-site spaces. Should the town provide spaces in the municipal public parking lot, an agreement would be required between the town and the property owner for such. The town board notes they are open to consideration of such discussion and potential contract. I included that because we didn't tell them, no, absolutely not. The town board finds the applicant responsible to secure off-site parking location for these 6 spaces and present any and all agreements to the planning board for consideration of inclusion in the site plan review of parking. The town board notes the parking statute allows for requests for lesser parking based on written reasoning under site plan review. I think we can take that out. Is everybody okay with taking that sentence out?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the last sentence, no such request is expected during the planning board review. We'll take that out too. So we're just gonna end, so the 62 becomes a 61.
Actually, we're off because back in.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. When I renumber, it'll fix itself. So I'm just continuing as of now, and I realize we're off because we merged 3 together as one.
Yeah.
But that'll fix itself.
Yeah, I guess.
So is everybody okay to where we are? So for now, we haven't put 60 back in yet.
Right.
The next is 63. The application proposes 3 ADA. Do we want to address that, or do we want to bring the EV after 60, after the current 62? And are you okay with the way I phrased the EV?
I think the EV should go after the ADA.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then the current 63 will become 62. The application proposes 3 ADA accessible parking spaces, with 1 being van accessible. The town board finds, no. No. Under the state statute, it's percentages of ADA. If you have, I believe if you have less than 3, you don't even have to have any van accessible. So. Anything? Or, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Yeah, okay. So then 64 will become 63. And then instead of saying the town board finds this satisfied statute requirements, let's say this finds this satisfies ADA statute requirements. So we're clear of what requirements it's satisfying. And now I think we bring in the EV after that. So that becomes 64. Town board notes there is no current proposal for EV charging stations and encourages the planning board to consider such for inclusion in the review of the site. Are we okay with the way I worded that? So we're basically saying to the town board or the planning board, ask them to put an EV charger in at least one of those spots somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your patience with that, and thank you for your assistance. 65, the application proposes a truck loading area which meets zoning statute dimensions of 70-foot depth and turnaround conditions.
We've never gotten them that 7 feet marked on there though.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, did we
Yeah,
finally
we
get one?
did.
Was that the last
The
one they had
last-
when there was all that secret confusion?
Yep.
It was part of that meeting. Okay.
Well, no, it was before that, but the last site plan, which is what I have right up on my computer right now, shows the 70-foot. And that's what Pete reviewed, and she sent back the letter saying, in the review, this meets the town zoning standards, which was Aaron's request. That we get back from our consultant saying it
Yeah.
meets zoning code standards.
So the map was just sent to the consultant.
No, it was sent to
No,
us too.
We
It's,
we went over it in
it's the map dated August 18th. Yeah, if you want, I can show it. I'm looking at it right now.
this one. Right here.
They did a call out of the area,
And then below,
truck delivery, traffic inset.
if you scroll down, they show a zoom out of it.
And the turnaround, because we had that whole discussion saying we need to see that it can turn around and we need to see that it meets the standards. And then this was sent to Nadine to review, and she sent us back a review saying it's code. So that's the one you have up, Aaron, right? The 818?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it 70 feet past the half spot or?
It doesn't include. the-
Does not.
Like it's past there.
Yeah, that's what we required. So it's right here.
Oh. Okay, yes, I remember this now, where they have a diagram on it.
I'm sorry, just to go back to the parking lot. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I thought you said that in this section, you wanted to have a statement that the town board finds that 63 parking spots. is
Oh,
what we're requiring, and I,
we skipped over that,
That's
but by
number 64.
relabeling everything, we skipped all that. You're right.
so 64, I think, what is where we would want to,
Yes. You are
but maybe
correct.
not say statute requirements, I think.
How do we word it? Can we say, based on the applicant's proposed 63
Based on the applicant's proposed calculations of parking,
parking, the town board,
accepts.
the town board finds this, accepts, we can say accepts.
63,
The town board accepts 63 as the number of parking
The
spaces
required
required
number.
for this project.
Does everyone accept that as the number since it doesn't actually match? our
I
current
accept it
code?
as,
Our code, and this is what I was saying before, our code allows for written requests, and this is essentially a written request because they're proposing an alternative proposal from our code is a guideline, and the code clearly states that it's a starting guideline.
I think what
I'm
thought we
okay
were-
accepting.
I'm okay accepting it also. I don't know if we want to say this, but our updated zoning code is more in line with their calculations, which is why.
I don't think we should get into that
Okay.
because we don't know what we're going to adopt, but
Okay.
at this time, we should either just accept their calculations, that's the way to say it, not that we accept their
Yeah.
calculations and arriving at 63 parking spaces. Or accept their calculations to arrive at 63 required parking spaces.
Why don't I just read what it says in the parking?
Okay,
And then we can, if we want to change the language,
Yep.
it says, town board review.
so that you're right, though, this will be a 64. And then the EV will be 65.
Oh my goodness. Sorry.
You're in 18.1.
I am, and I read it this afternoon.
Right up to 2. Correct. If it's just me that's disagreeing, with numbers matching our code.
Well,
let's
but
move on.
Aaron's not wrong. We do need to have the language of how we agree. And so taking it out of the code is the best way to do it. I have the local law of the
Yeah.
section. I have it printed out, Aaron, so I'm
Okay.
just gonna find it. right
I'm
now.
just, oh. What? Design requirements.
I've got it in Word, so I can cut and paste it out.
Okay, required,
Tell me where you are, the section.
it is H, design requirements, section 2C.
Okay,
Required off-street parking spaces shall be determined by the town board with consideration of recommendations made by the planning board and in general conformance with 140
which is the section on parking.
Yes.
Okay, so it's general conformance.
So I think we just say the town board determines,
The town board finds.
that
How about the town board finds the proposals calculations and number of parking spots. And then we'll steal the code here. In general conformance with 140-17.
I think we should just say that that's the way we're supposed to do it, but we're saying, I guess I see what you're saying.
Well, see, the general conform, remember 140-17 allows for a proposal of a different alternative. So 140-17, there's a set of standards, and then the very next section says, as an applicant, you can ask to change these standards if you propose an alternative. And I'm looking at it as they proposed an alternative by putting it on
Can
their
we
site.
say, it like this, proposals, calculations, and number of parking spots of 63 to be the required number of spots for this project, which is in general conformance with 140-. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because our code is very parking heavy, and as it is, the ZRC proposed lessening to create less pervious surface.
Right, yeah. Well, that's what I was trying to say is the numbers they use are actually our new. Chart that we are.
Okay. I'm just gonna leave it as- Been down in Minnewaska. In the park itself.
Way.
On 4455, probably. That's a big.
It used to be in the park, now it's in the. What was it?
3 on 4455 by Minnewaska State. Okay, so 64 is going to read. Town board finds the proposed calculations and number of parking spots of 63 to be the required number of spots, which is in general conformance with 140-17 of the town zone code. Okay, now the 60 that comes 65. The town board notes there is no current proposal for EV charging stations and encourages the planning board to consider such for inclusion in the review of the site plan. So then we're now at what was 65 and it's going to be 66, although it's probably going to be 65 again because we got 3, but anyway. The application proposes a truck loading area which meets zoning statute dimensions of 70-foot depth and turnaround conditions. I'm just gonna say the old number, so we're all not confused. So 66, the town board expressed concern for truck access and turnaround. The application made changes, and upon review and consultation with the town's consultant, the town board finds the proposal meets zoning statute.
The application or the applicant made changes?
Well, the application, I mean, the applicant made changes, but they gave us the application. I've been using the word application throughout because what they're submitting to us is the application. I actually, believe it or not, thought about it probably a little too hard last night. 67, the application proposes the parking areas will be gravel surfaced. Actually, we already said that up in what was our 58.
You did.
So we don't need to say that again. So that one can be crossed out. 68, the town board finds this is acceptable to reduce stormwater runoff. Concern exists as to demarcation of the individual spaces, and the town board defers this to the planning board for further review during site plan review. I know we brought up the question of it. We never really got a good answer as to how they will isolate their parking spots to make sure that the right number of spots will always exist. I still would like, I personally would like it to be discussed in some way, and I think that this is something the planning board can deal with because it is a site plan issue.
So
I don't know if there's an answer.
do we need to delete that first sentence though,
Yeah.
because it no longer
Right.
references what's before it?
Or the town board finds the gravel surface to be acceptable. It's one of the.
Yeah, and if we do that, though, we should probably move that 68 up into the parking area and before the truck turnaround.
Well, I think the truck turnaround is also gravel, so I think that's
Okay,
calculated in that 0.9 acres, so.
how about this then? Why don't we just leave 67 in there, even though we said it once before, we'll just say it again.
Parking and turnaround area should be on.
Parking and turnaround. There we go.
I did too.
I did too.
They circle.
Yeah, I put a big asterisk next to it, back in.
Made the cut.
Okay, so 68. Instead of the word this, we'll just say finds the gravel surface.
Yeah.
Just in case these statements ever get separated. 69, the town board expressed concerns regarding access points. During discussion, a fence was discussed and will be required to be placed along towpath road parking.
Wait, Mike,
What?
on 68 with the storm water runoff, I thought they were proposing additional storm water runoff measures.
They are,
Okay,
but, one of the reasons,
oh, this is acceptable to reduce storm.
Reduce
Got it.
storm,
Okay, I
yeah.
see, sorry.
by not paving, if they pave, then they would have stormwater runoff, whereas with gravel surface, it's not, it's permeable.
Yeah, we prefer this over, oh,
Right.
okay. Yep.
Okay?
Mhm.
Okay, so 69. The town board expressed concerns regarding access points during discussion. A fence was discussed and will be required to be placed along towpath road parking. I want to add there to channelize access. Further, a gate type of system was discussed to prevent the public from entering the employee parking area 4 spots and will be required to be installed. So that's, in this case, the requirement is our finding. We discussed with them how to prevent the public from getting in there, and their solution was put the gate in there. And we said, okay, and we're gonna make that a condition that they must install those gates. 70, the town board expressed concerns regarding turnaround capability at the end of the parking area. The application made a change and included a hammerhead turnaround in the project updated. And that won't be site plan, that one will be, yeah, CDP. 71, the town board.
Included a hammerhead turnaround project updated CDP. Should we say included a hammerhead turnaround which shall be marked?
Sure.
You know, appropriately
Delineated?
delineated to indicate it's not parking.
Shall be delineated as no parking.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
In the project updated site plan, because they showed it as delineated. Thank you. 71, this is another one we should change. Town board accepts this change as satisfying the concerns expressed. Why don't we just say as accepts this turnaround as satisfying the concerns expressed, or turnaround change? What do you prefer?
The addition of the turnaround.
Accepts the addition of the turnaround. You got it.
As the concerns expressed by the town board.
Oh, by the town board,
Yeah.
yeah. By us.
Additions.
Expressed by
Punch it already.
I said by us. We're just.
Got it. 72, the application has presented considerations to this one's very, because there was a lot of conversation about this. So the application has presented considerations to reduce noise impacts from the project site, specifically the potential for noise from outdoor music, amplified or acoustic. The application has presented the following mitigation measures. And then the list, and those were cut and pasted directly from their presentation to us. So if you're okay, I'm not going to read A through E because that's what they proposed. That's not really up for us to change. So 73, the town board finds the following. So this is in relation to the sound issue. The application is not requesting consideration of the use commercial events facility as defined in the town zoning code. Let me just stop there. Any questions? We're all okay. They have not asked to be a commercial event facility. B, the town board does not consider this use having been included in the application, and it has not been specifically included in any petition or site plans. That'll be the CDP.
They did have outdoor events.
Yes.
We're saying this is separate.
We are saying.
We're saying
we are
they're not a
imposing
commercial
our
event.
authority. We are imposing our authority and saying, this is how it's going to be right now. That's what we're doing.
So
Even though they listed this. Outdoor, like our definition of
Commercial.
commercial events
Yeah.
is outdoor.
no,
No,
no.
no, it's different.
Like a concert.
Our definition of commercial event facility is a facility that doesn't normally have use.
Well-
No, but let me do, so, example, Stonehouse is an example, or if a restaurant or a bar has a band, it's not just about indoor, outdoor. Commercial event facility is any use of a site that is not normally used for events. Like, let's use the Crested Hen, for example. That is a residential property that has a large barn. they came to us for a commercial events facility to operate the barn as a wedding venue. A home doesn't normally have, it's not an accepted accessory use. Whereas a restaurant having a bar, I'll use example, the Marbletown, or the cafe. They have bands there, that they don't have to go out and get a permit for a band there because it's something that a restaurant, it's a customary, that's the key word, customary accessory use to a use. So a restaurant can have a customary use of having a band. What they can't have is a full blown out rock concert. And Arrowwood is another example. They're allowed for just an event to have a guy there with an acoustic guitar, but when they want to have Jackson Brown there, they're a commercial event. So,
It is the discretion of the code. enforcement
yes,
officer.
code enforcement officer gets to decide what's,
So my confusion and holdup is because they had outdoor event space listed on proposals before,
but not on the last proposal.
but not, so this is preventing them from adding that use
Yeah.
Correct.
onto their.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
that-
what
correct.
we're
That's what I just
clarifying.
didn't want-
Correct.
We are doing extra to clarify
We are clarifying that they,
because of that confusion. And they do also list that they're going to have events in their update, but then they have an asterisk, which is like what use of the inn. So right here, we're saying this is what we're approving.
Okay.
And anything beyond this, they have to actually.
and the key is the code enforcement officer gets to determine what is a customary accessory use to an approved use. So, and if it's disagreed with, it can be challenged in the zoning board of appeals. And that's why we're doing this. We're being very clear. They are not a commercial event facility. They didn't ask to be. We are not approving them to be. And that's why this whole section is very important. So,
You're on B.
so we just did B. So now C, should the applicant desire to hold commercial events as defined in the zoning code at the restaurant, actually, we shouldn't even say at the restaurant, tavern, or inn, just take that out. They would be required to apply with a zoning permit seeking a determination of use from the code enforcement officer. So if down the road, they want to add this, they got to start as a new application, new process. Everybody okay with that? Okay. D, regarding sound from the uses which are allowed with an approval of this EEO application, any sound produced from any activity is, I don't know where I said that, why I said bound, I should say required.
Under C, would they not have to come back to us?
No, they have to go before the planning board. They wouldn't have to come back.
To add a use?
It would
No,
depend.
Jerry would
Jerry
send them
would-
in the right direction. It's,
Code
it's
enforcement
very-
officer would say,
If he says it's a commercial event, then you have to go back to the EO.
he
No.
could,
yes,
Like,
he would likely say that because it is an amendment of the EEO as it's being approved.
Right.
Just like
But-
when the guy on Lucas Avenue wanted to add other uses.
but that's the code enforcement officer's job to
Right, but that's what he would
see
likely
the zoning
say.
permit and make a determination. We're not guessing what his determination is gonna be. If it happens, when it happens, and I will tell you, if we disagree with his zoning determination, just like any citizen, the town board can file a challenge to the ZBA.
I guess I'm wondering if we should state in here that if he determines it's a commercial event, the applicant will be required.
Because it's he follows the law. If the law says it has to come back to us, that's what he does. We can't say that they'll be required because we can't decide his decision for him. He gets a zoning permit, he looks at it in any zoning permit, and then he decides the next course of action of what permits are required.
Okay.
The same way how this got to us in the first place. They went to him and they said, we want to do all these uses, and he said, So, yeah, we can't take away his authority to determine. We can challenge it later if we disagree.
Oh, no, I'm not making any comment about it. Well, it's fine.
No,
You're just wondering if we should say
Be more explicit.
would be required to begin the process by applying for, that's all you're saying is like, you're worried it's gonna make it sound like all they have to do is get a zoning
Right.
permit.
no, but they're not. They have the determination, the process is you file a zoning permit and the code enforcement officer makes a determination. That is the only process there is. Once he makes a determination, a new process begins, you go for these permits. So step one, end of step.
Yeah, I'm just clarifying. I wasn't trying to say.
No, I know. I didn't think you were, but I was just trying to say we can't. And the only reason we listed commercial events is because we're just being very clear that they didn't apply for it. And if they want it again, actually, should we say, should the applicant desire to hold or to change any use? No, I think it's better the way it is because it was a big thing brought up in public hearing. I think it's important that we make a finding on this specific issue.
I have on the 72, I know we kind of skipped over that. No, hold on.
Yeah.
Just in A,
Yep.
indoor and outdoor dining, events, gatherings, parties. Should we just take the word events out? Because I feel like.
I don't want to, this was word for word what they presented.
Okay.
I don't want to change their language. This section is what they presented. I cut and pasted it from their proposal.
Okay.
So I understand you may not agree with the word events, but they put it in their proposal, so I think we have to leave it.
And again, they're using events not as commercial event space, but an
Right.
event could be a, so,
It could be, yeah,
anything.
yeah.
It could be a paints. Went to one, I'm very good at wine.
Won the wine, lost the paint.
Okay, so now we're up to E. Town board will encourage planning board in site plan review to include the proposed voluntary sound mitigation measures as conditions in any site plan decision, bearing in mind hours of operation cannot be applied to a use unless it was equally applied to any project coming before the planning board for the same use. The applicant may voluntarily impose stronger conditions on themselves. I state this because there's case law out there that the planning board can't set hours of operation for a project based on where it is. Like you can't tell a gas station, you gotta close at 7 PM and another gas station, you can be open till midnight. You're creating illegal competition between competing similar businesses. So the applicant is proposing timeframes. The planning board can't mandate those, but they can agree if the applicant voluntarily is saying, I'm imposing these conditions on myself. The planning board can agree with that. Am I kind of saying that correctly, Mary Lou?
And make
Yeah.
it part,
You're muted, yeah.
and make it part of the final decision? Or why would they impose tougher?
Because they may want to show to the public that they're serious about mitigating the issues.
But that's not enforceable by code enforcement.
If it's made a part of the decision, it is, but the
But we
key,
can't make it.
the key is the planning board can't say this has to be a part of your decision. But if the applicant voluntarily, and that's the key word, voluntarily, the applicant, it can be in the decision as long as it's noted that it is voluntarily made by the applicant.
Okay, because I just want to back up, because what we talked about the last time we discussed this is that we would impose sound hours.
Right.
And what we're saying here is we are not allowed to do that in this decision.
Correct. Correct. After I reviewed it further, I realized we can't impose conditions, I don't think, on this property because they're not proposing commercial event facility. The commercial event code is the only one in our code that has hours that you can, they're not proposing to be a commercial event facility. So we can't tell them what hours to operate their restaurant.
Just like any other restaurant in town, they could have outdoor music or outdoor small events.
Cause the thing we were gonna do is.
Right, what we were gonna do
require
is illegal.
Outdoor amplified music cease by a certain time.
That we could probably do. We can, I think we can say, and if we want to do that, we can. I kind of moved away from it after they made the proposal, and I kind of was gonna leave it to the, you know, that's my opinion, was to leave it to the planning board. If you want to go back to that, I'm okay with that. I just, we had a whole big go around of, you know, what's amplified is a single acoustic guitar with a microphone amplified. And more or less, they said, you know, the key for us is at lot line, you can't be more than 10 dB above ambient level. So I guess what I'm trying to say, and I think Michael said it, we're not going to tell you how to run your business. You just have to comply with the code that at lot line, you can't be 10 above dB.
And what I remember is that we had some consensus on not restricting them from having amplified music outside. I don't think it was full consensus, we had some,
Right.
but we also agreed that we would impose hours on amplified music, outdoor music.
We did have that conversation, and in this proposal, I took that out because after thinking about it more, I'm not sure we legally can do it. And I think the applicant or somebody did respond back and said, the code is clear at lot line, because it doesn't even have to just be music, it can be any sound. But at lot line, you can only be 10 above ambient level. So it's an enforcement issue. It's not a code issue. And I think that was the point you were making. So I'm fine with however you want to do it. I don't feel comfortable with
Yeah.
saying how to operate their business. If they're violating the code, then we prosecute them or go to the issue of dealing with the violation of the code.
We're thinking of a specific noise being amplified music, but to your point, it can be anything. It could be a choir, it could be a chainsaw, bear demonstration, you
Right.
know, anything that violates that
Bear
sound. Demonstration, chainsaw bear demonstration, where somebody goes and cuts.
Oh, I thought bear didn't speak.
No, well, if you got a really loud bear, I'm just saying.
I don't.
It really,
think we're
we
allowed to have-
shouldn't single out loud music. It's
Right.
any noise.
Right.
And
And,
again,
and bear in mind, that code exists for all uses. You know, you have to follow 140-20. That is part of our general commercial and industrial standards. So,
So you can't designate specific requirements for uses by zoning district, you're saying? You can't say this is a residential zoning district, therefore a gas station has to close at 10, but in a commercial zoning district. it can be
Correct.
open.
correct.
The use has to be.
The
consistent.
use, and there's case law on that out. And I did go searching.
Well, we're not, I guess I didn't think we were telling them they have to close, but I thought we just wanted to say outdoor amplified music during the week needs to end.
But that's telling them how to operate their business.
Because their proposal is 10, which I think
Right.
we thought was.
Right. So essentially, the way I worded it is, they've made a proposal. The plan, because they made a voluntary proposal, the planning board can put that in the code, in their decision, planning board can. And I guess, in theory, we could say the planning board must put, well, we can't tell the planning board what to do. We can put it in our decision, which is the back part of this, and say, this has to be a part, you have to comply with this in order to get the EEO. But
Yeah, because I guess this whole thing to me is premised on the fact that they're asking for the board to allow certain things to happen that are not consistent with current zoning. Therefore, we should be able to impose, like, if we want to say, okay, you want 63 parking spots, they all have to be blue. My understanding is we can do that because we're giving them a special.
But they're not asking for anything with the noise that's not consistent with zoning. They're asking, or the sound, let's call it sound rather than noise. the code says you have to be, you can't exceed 10 above ambient noise. That exists townwide, every use.
Right, but what I'm saying is they're asking for EO designation to allow them to do adaptive reuse and have
Right.
all these uses there. Can we not then impose restrictions and say, okay, if we grant you that, then you guys agree to this, to these stipulations?
That's a Mary Lou question.
Yeah, I guess I'm sorry, I should have been directing it to you then. Are you unmuted? You are. You're good.
Yes, I am. You know, it's a tough one. I think it's a close call. I wish I'd had the question earlier because I don't really want to just say yes, although part of me does. But if they are following everyone's following the same rules, maybe if you don't like it, maybe you change your noise regulations overall.
Yeah, because the concern I have is regardless of what they agree to now, if business sells 5 years from now, you know, there's nothing to hold the future over.
No, there is, the code. The
Yeah.
code is 10 above ambient
Yes.
noise.
Right, unless you change the code so far as those noise levels.
You're
I-
saying the hours.
Yeah, I guess I
Yeah.
don't know if 10 above ambient noise is still gonna be disturbing.
Well, but the 10 above ambient noise is not what they're agreeing to. The 10 above ambient noise is in our code. So they're
Right.
saying they're gonna abide by the code. The only one that they're stipulating is, I mean, they're providing how they're gonna mitigate the noise. And then the hours are their own self-imposed. We're not gonna operate. It's similar to Arrowwood, who said our concerts are not gonna go past 9:30. They could go as late as the code allows them to. They have self-imposed. Now, the difference with them is it's not part of their decision. But because that wasn't put in during the review process, because my feeling, and we could do some research and certainly before the planning board does their final decision, Mary Lou can come back with an answer on some of this stuff, and we can say to the planning board, hey, we can't tell them how to do their review. We can offer a suggestion.
I guess if the time to do it is now, then we should do it now. Do we put it in and then if there's an issue with it or it gets challenged, then they can challenge it in court, but.
Yeah,
Or do we just pause
But-
and let Mary Lou find us an accurate answer?
But I thought we were putting that in, my understanding is that was gonna be.
well, and my point is, if you guys want it back in, we can put it back in. I'm trying to explain to you why I took it out, because in looking at it further, I was like, I don't think we legally can put it in. And that was, that's why we're doing this whole process, is to discuss this. This is a draft. We can change anything we want to change. So if you guys want to put it back in, tell me what you want to say and we'll put it back in. I'm just making the argument of why I took it out.
Well, that's why I'm saying we should put this specific section on sound on hold until we can
We
get.
can't though, if we're gonna approve this. If we're not gonna
And
approve
then I'm
this,
saying we hold this, so we
Okay.
can get an answer on the sound from Mary Lou to know
For
if we
next
can
week.
legally find that in here.
okay,
Because I know I was expecting that in
okay,
this also was the specific hours that we outlined to match
Yeah.
the commercial use space. To commercial use it, commercial events space.
Yeah.
So
well,
I know I would personally favor that.
Okay.
Here, if we can put that in, because that was an important detail to me. in
Understood.
My decision on this project.
so,
Or if we put it in, would you be okay proceeding today?
I would like to know if we were legally covered doing that, but if the rest of you think we don't need confirmation from our lawyer, we can do that.
I'll tell you what, let me just, before we get about discussion, I'm gonna make a motion that we table the rest of this discussion for tonight and that we pick this up next Thursday. After hearing from our attorney on these questions.
And then we're
Well,
gonna.
do you want to go through the rest in case there's other questions
Okay.
you'd like
fair
me to
enough.
look at?
Okay,
And that way you can get the rest,
So-
everything else resolved, and I just need
Okay.
that one.
okay, so I'm gonna make a motion then that we continue the findings of fact. And, well,
You don't have to make a motion. Just withdraw your motion.
yeah, that's true. We don't have to make a motion.
So just finish these 2 pages.
Well, we probably should look at the ultimate decision too, but we just won't take any votes and we'll table this
Yeah.
until next meeting,
I like that.
next Thursday.
We've already accepted the one section.
We accepted that resolution's done and
Yeah.
that's okay.
The approved section,
Yes.
that was a good one.
We did it.
No, we're required to, so.
No reason to rush.
Okay, so. So we're gonna, so 73 is the one that is just we gotta resolve. And it's actually only 73, well, it's the whole section, because if we're gonna add a condition. Okay, so 74. The application contains 6 occurrences for the zoning code to be modified by the town board as follows. A, use of a small portion of the town of Rochester municipal parking to accommodate 6 required parking spaces. I think based on our conversation, we should say, use of off-site
Yes.
parking to accommodate. The other thing with this is I can make all these changes that we have done today and bring them back to you, and you can see them for yourself before we adopt it, so. B, a reduction of parking space size from 10 by 20 to 9 by 18. C, proposed parking of 13 spaces in a continuous row. D, commercial parking area in the front yard. E, relief from requirement of a 20-foot depth planting strip separation from the roadway. And F, coal barn and granary cupola height, and we give the height. Except I think I changed the order on things, and this actually should move to 82 is where I respond to these things. So 74 should either move to right in front of 82, or 82 should become 75. So which do we prefer?
I already drew an arrow from 74 to before 82.
You got it.
I think it works out.
So 74 is going to go down to the beginning of that. So 75, this was late at night when I was moving things around and I moved one piece and not the other. The town board finds the proximity of the project site to the Ackworth Fire District is a positive should such services be needed. However, notes a coordinated review with emergency service agency is a function of site plan review by the planner. That's one of the things they look at. Landscaping, so basically these next sections are covering the parts that we didn't do and the planning board has to do. Landscaping details have not been provided. The town board notes this is a function of site plan review by the planning board. Exterior lighting details have not been provided. Town board notes this is a function of site plan review by the planning board. However, notes all fixtures are to be full cutoff dark sky compliant. They did notate that, but
Do we have to note that they noted that before this or no, like we've done with everything else? The applicant said.
oh, yeah. However, notes the applicant has stated, how's that?
That's fine.
Because that was the only thing they said, and that was to address seeker, but they didn't give any details of lighting yet. Full signage detail plan has not been provided. The town board notes this is a function of site plan review by the planning board, however, notes the application must prevent such and comply with the town signage code. General commercial and industrial standards of the zoning code have not been addressed in finality by the town board in review of the site plan. Town board notes this is a function of site plan review by the plan.
So
The
site plan
first
is
site plan is
BDP.
Yep.
That's insurance.
Yeah. What is it? CPD or CDP?
Conceptual development plan, CDP.
CDP,
Design, development.
development, conceptual development plan. That's
CDD.
R2D2. 80, town code 140-18.1 states In determining whether to approve the application for an EEO district, the town board shall consider the public health and welfare of the surrounding area together with, actually, we should take out that part. Instead of saying the following criteria, because there was a whole bunch of, and I didn't list them all. How about to say, together with the code enumerated criteria? How should I say that, Mary Lou? So I don't have to bring the whole criteria from the code into the decision.
Okay.
This is that section 8 of the code. 180, 18.1, section 8. Where it sort of lists the town board's review criteria.
Mhm. I mean, you can just put that, reference that
We
section.
say together with the criteria of 140-188.
18.18.
Yeah. Okay. And the intent and objectives of this section, because that was the direct, I'm going to take the quotation marks out because it's no longer a quote because we changed it, so. The town board, through the review of the application materials, plans, studies, and the determination of a negative declaration under the seeker statute, finds the requirements of 140-18.18 have been achieved.
I'm not saying so.
Well, the first is saying what we have to do, and the second statement is saying that we did it and how we did it. We reviewed everything, we did a neg deck. So that's how I view it. Because that's a requirement of us doing this process. And then now we're gonna do the 74 is gonna move down to after that, and then the 82. The town board in review of an AEO zoning designation is empowered to offer waiver relief from sections of code requirements without the applicant seeking a variance from the zoning board of appeals. The town board finds the following. We're going to change that wording to match the new letter A. Going to say off-site parking. And the answer is the town board will entertain such request independently upon proposal by the owners, which would require negotiation of a signed contract between the town board and the owners with conditions imposed. Should we say, should municipal parking be desired? And then add that the 6 off-site parking must be accomplished in some manner for final approval.
Well, wouldn't we have to approve it if they get a lease with a neighboring property as well?
We wouldn't have to,
Or
the
review
planning
it
board
with the
would.
planning board?
They have to prove that they have the ability to park on those
Yeah.
lots. But with us, because if they come to our parcel, we own it. So
Yeah.
they have to have a negotiation with us. So the town board will entertain, instead of saying such request, will entertain a request for municipal parking for use of municipal parking. Upon proposal by the owners, which will require negotiation of the signed contract between the town board and the owners with conditions imposed. And then we'll add, should this not occur, the owner shall provide 6 off-site parking in all cases. Yes, no, maybe?
They have to provide them regardless of whether they're off-site. So.
Oh,
I'll provide 6 additional spaces. On or off site.
yeah, because see, the waiver is just to be able to use off-site parking spaces. So if they provide them on-site, then the waiver doesn't exist.
Yes.
Right.
The waiver only exists for the off-site. So should this not occur, the owner shall how about should these spaces not be provided on site?
There you go.
The room here. The owner shall still provide such spaces. We're gonna get another crack at it next weekend. If we really hate something. But I'll email I'll make these changes tomorrow and email it to you, so you guys all have a few days to look at the changes, so. B, regarding reduction of parking space size from 10 by 20 to 9 by 18, the town board finds such size already occurs in the town. Was this code until amendments were made to the zoning code in the 2010 update due to larger vehicles becoming more prevalent. That's a Mike Baden editorial because I knew the reason. With current times, the town board sees this as a lesser concern and is also proposing a reversion back to these dimensions with the current zoning code update under consideration for adoption by the end of 2023. I'm just bringing it up because we're proposing it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but we're. Regarding proposed parking of 13 spaces in a continuous row, the town board notes the code sets a maximum of 12 spaces. However, finds this concern is not significant. Town board further notes the parking section of code is allowed to be modified by the planning board upon a written. We should just say allowed to be modified. We can forget the by the planning board upon a written request and the basis for such request. Because we're the ones modifying it, not the planning board. Regarding location of a commercial parking area in the front yard, town board finds this concern is not significant as the number is minimal.
All right, that last one.
Which last one? C?
C, the town board further notes the parking section of code is allowed to be modified by the planning board upon a written request.
We're removing the by the planning board.
Okay.
Required, allowed to be modified under the zoning code. How about that? I was more or less saying that the stipulation of 12 to 13,
We're allowed.
yeah, but we're doing it, not the planning board. I was thinking that the planning board, makes those waivers, but in this case, we're the board. So the parking in the front yard, it's not significant as the number is minimal and the access is channelized by fencing and gated restrictions and will be restricted from backing onto the street or backing into the project site. That's because of the fence. You can't do it because the fence is there. The town board further notes the post office parking across the street has front yard parking that does access the street without channelized access. The town board further notes the parking section of code is allowed to be modified. We're going to say the same thing under the zoning code. And part of this is because that's where the existing area is. It's already disturbed. It makes sense for them to allow the parking. I could add that in there too, that the area was previously disturbed. Do we want to add that? Or do we
Yeah,
not?
it can't hurt it if this was challenged at some point. It'd be good enough.
So I'm going to say that the town board notes the area is previously disturbed. And has been used for parking because it has those areas included.
And is currently used as.
Previously, since it's not currently.
That's true.
We're basically giving the reasoning we are giving these waivers. Okay, And E, regarding relief from requirement of 20-foot depth playing strip separation, the town board finds the project site will follow a detailed landscaping plan, and such a strip is more designed for high traffic volume areas which require such separation from roadways and sidewalks. The town board finds the overall landscaping will be considered and encourages the planning board to seek such. Well, not seek such,
To
we're,
be diligent.
yeah. Provide adequate landscaping, effective landscaping.
To require a robust landscaping plan.
That's good.
This is my not-for-profit
To meet
work. Make what?
Make determination.
Well, the planning board is gonna review the landscaping, so they're asking to, they never asked for this, but when I looked at the code, it does require between the street and a parking area, 20-foot landscape strip. It makes no sense there because it's already was existing parking. All it's gonna do, and you can't even do it. There's not enough space to do it and then the parking in the building. But more or less, it's just what I'm trying to say is that the overall landscaping of the whole parcel will be under the review of the planning board, and we hope that they're gonna do, or we know they're gonna do a good job, or we hope that, I don't know what we're really saying, so.
Attaboy.
How about we just say, will be considered during site plan review? We'll do this last one and then we'll stop here, guys. We'll pick this up next week. I'm sorry it's taken so long, but
I'd rather take long and do it right.
we are. I think we are doing it right.
Agreed. I think we all just were like, oh, it's 9:30.
Yeah.
How did that
So
happen?
regarding existing coal barn and granary cupola height, the town board finds these structures are pre-existing and are a vital part of the historical nature of the project site. The structures were previously utilized in an agricultural manner when constructed. The benefits of restoring these structures outweighs the negative of any height concerns. Okay, so let's stop there. We will pick this up next Thursday with.
Now, maybe we won't, maybe we'll, maybe Mary Lou's done a little bit of research during this. So,
Oh, hold on, Mary Lou. Let me find out if they even want to, because we got a lot of agenda left, so we might want to just stop on it anyway. But you can give us your opinion. But
All
I
right.
think stop anyway.
all
Go
right,
ahead.
we're pretty close, though.
Well, give us your opinion and let's see where it goes. Let's see how
Okay,
detailed we get with the
all
discussion.
right. I don't think that you can really, looking at things, a quick search, I don't think you can require something different of them than you require of everyone else. In 20, it specifically says all new uses will, follow these standards. And that's what they're going to do. However, I mean, they did say at some point, this is where you got the whole amplified music stuff, the 11 o'clock and the 10 o'clock. So, I mean, I think because they offered that up in our discussions, you can say that, these are going to be the hours for amplified music outdoors. And then that they have to comply with the 140-20.
But we can't set stricter hours than what, because they offered
That's
up
what
that.
they offered, right, that's what they
So,
offered. So
Yeah.
I think
and
you can
so-
go with that, as you mentioned, but I think that you're putting yourself in a bad position in an Article 78 when our section on noise, let me get right back to it, starts with all proposed new land uses shall not generate cumulative sound levels, and then it goes on. So it says all new uses. This is a new use.
So
I
it
think-
becomes an enforcement issue if they violate the code.
I'm
And
sorry,
it said it becomes an enforcement issue if they violate the code.
right,
And we shouldn't assume that they're going to violate the code But, and so we can't, my reasoning is we can't impose conditions on them to prevent them from violating the code. We need to give them the opportunity themselves to put their own, to not violate the code.
Right.
And if they do, we have enforcement power to say they're violating.
Right,
So,
and you,
wanna
you
violate
know,
the
you
code
can
with that.
put those things that you had in 72E about the amplified music because they have volunteered that.
Okay,
So I
So-
would recommend you keep it as is, that, because it says right now, it will cease. And you can put that in the actual resolution.
so we can put those that they proposed. The A through E in 72, which is their proposal.
Right,
So our 73 is we're basically making a response to what they said and a response to the public comment that we heard at the public hearing by saying they haven't applied for a commercial events facility. We're not considering that they're a commercial events facility. If they want to be a commercial event facility, they have to go to the code enforcement officer. And they have to abide by 140-20, and that they have provided these voluntarily measures, and instead of saying that we encourage the planning board to include those, we include them as a part of our decision, is what you're saying.
yeah, for the uses that are, I would say for the uses that are there currently.
Well,
For the
I don't
uses,
think we get into the uses, we just say that we just say that they volunteered. Oh, I understand. They volunteered it with the uses they're applying for.
right,
So
and we're gonna
we put it
make
in there,
those,
we can't take away
that's
their,
part of our decision because they've said they would do these
Right.
things.
agreed.
And then if they want to do the commercial events facility later, they go to the
Agreed.
code
Code
enforcement.
Yep. So how do people
Okay.
feel about that? That we leave it as worded, except we change the town board will encourage the planning board and site plan review to include the volunteer. We say the town board will include the voluntary proposed sound mitigation as conditions of this approval, of the
Approval.
EEO approval.
Right,
There you go.
I don't think you should be approving them to have that late of hours playing amplified music outside. I don't think that should.
well, that's voluntary. Under our code, we shouldn't be giving them any restriction if they
we
had
can't- You
volunteered.
can't restrict them at all. So they're offering restriction.
They can ask for 6 exceptions on parking, and we can't restrict them at all according to the E EEO.
Correct.
Right, because this is a business operation and it's not just according to the EEO, it's according to,
Sure, they can ask us
Case
for
law.
parking. We don't have to give it to them.
right,
They still have to create 63 parking spaces. They can ask them for us. We haven't negotiated anything with them. But we can't restrict them any more than any other business. And no other business, no other
right. For
restaurant,
example,
hours of operation.
whatever the hillside's called now, for me, it will always be the
Stonehouse.
hillside. Thank you. Stonehouse, has to comply with 140-20. We can't say you're a restaurant and all you have to do is 140-20. However,
They're
these people
not
have
a-
to do more.
asking for, and the ones they're asking for are only because I went in the code and found them. I mean, the height is not really an exception.
No,
it's
that
an
one's like
existing
a- yeah.
structure.
That's pre-existing.
And the site plan, regularly, the planning board gives waivers on parking. It's not even a waiver, it's a discussion of, we purposely wrote our parking code to be flexible for the project. Because the opposite would happen, sometimes in the code, by statute, you need, I'm making up a number, 70 parking spaces. I mean, go to the mall and see all those parking spaces. It's because the code required all those parking spaces. And then even before the Hudson Valley Mall was shut down, how often did you ever see every one of those parking spaces used? You didn't. So my point is, it works both ways.
No, it's fine, you guys.
No, it's just, we can't regulate how a business operates.
No, I fully understand that.
Yeah. No,
Fully understand
Yeah.
that we can't do that.
My question is on, okay, in the EEO law, it says that the town board may, in its sole legislative discretion, act to approve with modification or conditions, or disapprove. So like, what are allowable conditions?
I mean, I think there's a risk. It's up to you whether you take the risk or not.
so the conditions are, we could put a condition that is specific to, you know, say, for example, when you get to the decision, you will see that I made a condition about outdoor lighting being turned off. I put a big discuss in there because I don't like the way I worded it. I stole it from my Dollar General, which when they leave, they turn off the parking lot lights and the sign light, because coming down that hill all night long, you don't need to be staring at that big internally lit Dollar General sign. That was very specific to that property. We're not imposing conditions that are going to impede their business by making them turn off. Could they have challenged it? Absolutely. But saying, turn off your sign when you're not there, they said, okay, and they do it. My point is, though, you can't tell a business, hours are a very different thing. When you tell a business you can only operate these hours, then you're creating a legal or competition between a business that can operate a certain set of hours has an advantage over the one that can't.
When they merge the parcels, did they get a new deed for it?
Yes, they have to.
Can we put a deed restriction on it?
We can't impose deed restrictions.
Can we request anything more formal from them that would lock them, like commit them and say the EEO is conditioned on you signing X that states?
I don't know.
Are you changing these hours before we approve it?
Mary Lou, do you have an opinion on that?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
So
About,
this
wait,
is
what is-
why,
I mean,
this is
whatever
why-
restrictions we come up with, they run with the, you know,
they run with the land.
they run with the land. They're there for this owner and all future owners.
As long as this use occurs. If this use ceases, then all this approval goes away. You know, if a different use comes in. But if a different use comes in, even if it's 30 years from now with a different owner, it's got to come back to the town board, because as long as they are still an EEO, who knows 30 years from now if future boards, if EEO will even exist anymore.
So what if, okay, what if in our zoning update, because I hear this,
Mhm.
in the commercial section, because I don't think we did this.
We can
In the
update that.
commercial section where we made it now, it doesn't have to be an update, it like applies, right?
I'm not following you at all. I'm sorry.
Well, our commercial, the noise is in the commercial use.
Commercial and industrial.
And industrial use. We could, in the noise section where we talk about the 10 decibels, could we just impose hours of outdoor amplified sound in that section? And then that would apply to everyone?
Except anybody who has, it would only apply to new, because anybody who's already existing, I don't think it applies to. I don't know, Mary Lou, you would have to tell us. If
Yeah,
that
well,
is-
right now, the way it's written is that it's for all new uses.
But I thought we changed it so that.
We are in the proposal change, it's proposed to say all uses. The word new is being taken out in the proposal, but
Okay,
I
all right. So, I
I
mean,
kind of feel like though.
you
it's
can
important
put that in.
that-
Somebody might challenge it and say you're taking
gotta-
away
we
one of
gotta
their
at least
rights. That
another
they,
hour.
you know, they opened this business because they knew they could do it whenever.
I hear that it goes with the property, so it's like the neighborhood could change and
Right,
it could stop
But
being
that-
residential.
that
So
goes
like I
to
hear
spaghetti.
that, and I hear that would be a different, like a different law applied bespoke, but I also thought that's kind of what the EEO was. But like, so I hear
I
that. I'm
mean, we
thinking
have
if
that
really
argument.
feel- If we really feel strongly about there not being amplified music during the week after 9 PM, I think we should just make that a law. I guess that's all I'm saying.
Right, and instead of doing that in 140-20, and why don't we have that discussion next week when we're talking about zoning? Instead of doing that in 140-20, I would say, we write it, we make a new section. And let's call it sound and not noise, because quite frankly, noise immediately gives negative connotations, but let's pull it out of the general commercial standards, make it its own standalone section within the zoning code. But even then, and we can make it be enforceable on all properties, just like the short-term rental law is enforceable on all properties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that can be done. We don't necessarily do it in this decision, but if that code is going to take effect in December, I can guarantee you, well, I absolutely can guarantee you, because the earliest they're going to get to the planning board with this, they got to do the lot improvement first. That's a month. Then they have to go back to the planning board for the site plan review. So the earliest they're going to start that is November. It's got to go to the county. It's got to be a public hearing. So we are going to adopt the zoning code before this is finished. One of the things we have to decide when we adopt the zoning code is how does it apply to existing in-process applications? I don't want to get into that discussion. But I'm thinking, I suspected, we have more questions than answers. Why don't we pause this? Think about your questions, email them directly to Mary Lou.
Yeah, get them to me.
Don't have to include the rest of the board members, just directly email your questions to Mary Lou. We'll let her come back to us with some answers next Thursday, and then we'll finish this next Thursday. Because I think it's an important section to get right. And I hear what everybody's saying. And I admit I'm playing devil's advocate, but I'm playing devil's advocate based on what the law is, meaning the court decisions about things. So I understand what we're trying to accomplish, and maybe Mary Lou in the next week can come up with a suggestion of
Yeah,
how
I
we
can
can,
look into it more.
instead of trying to figure it out.
Motion to table?
Second.
Yeah, you don't even have to. We're just going to stop action on this right now. So, thank you. Okay.
You guys can keep going.
Let's do action on minutes.
Yeah, if Erin's not here to vote, we just have to say she's doing it. So. Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the minutes of the September 7th public hearing, September 7th business meeting, September 13th workshop meeting, September 14th workshop meeting, September 23rd workshop meeting, September 28th audit meeting, and September 30th workshop meeting as presented, as amended, because I did send Kate 2 corrections.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So just list Aaron as not present. C, acceptance of donations. Town of Rochester Town Board accepts donations in the total amount of, and I apologize, the ones I put in there came in the first day of October, so they shouldn't be in there. So the Nancy Smith and the Zach Kleinhandler are out. So it's going to say is $147.91 from St. Pauli Textiles.
Make that motion.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Town of Rochester Town Board authorized the town supervisor to sign and return a proposed shared services agreement between Ulster County and the town of Rochester as allowed pursuant to Article 5G of New York State General Municipal Law and Sections 102, 133A, and 135 of New York Highway Law.
That motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. When she comes out, so we finished. So this next one, I have to give you the old agreements that we had. We're up to E, Aaron. You did B, C, and D while you were gone.
Wow, you guys are so fast.
Yeah. I was gonna tell you when he came out, yep, we finished, we're all done. So, I'll make the motion and then we'll explain. So, Town of Rochester Town Board authorizes the town supervisor to sign and return a proposed shared services agreement between, and there's 5 different ones, but we're gonna lump them all in one resolution. Town of Olive, Town of Esopus, Town of Warsing, Town of Marbletown, Town of New Paltz, and the Town of Rochester. I'll make the motion. Have a second?
Second.
This was an agreement that we came up with. Mary Lou was involved in it. It was just a couple of the towns needed something to allow Jill to take dogs from their town to our kennel when because she does 5 towns. They do pay us when we house them. And, but this is just saying that because they're on our property, and we do have insurance agreements back and forth, but because they're on our property, we're just stating to them that we're abiding by the state ag law for a boarding kennel. And that Jill brought this to me the other day. She said, I just realized this expired last year. So nobody else noticed it except her. And so I just want to renew it.
Do we get rent for these dogs from Watertown?
Yeah, yeah, we do.
I mean,
Wait, actually, we need to set a period of time now. You mean what?
Last 1 year.
these are all listed as through 2022. Do they need to be?
That's the reason. These are the existing. That's the reason for the resolution. So we need to say proposed shared service agreement for the period of 12 or from 1/1/23 to we want to do it for a 2-year period until 12/31/24.
25.
I'm fine with that.
It's 1/1/24.
No, it's gonna be 1/1/23 because the old one expired. I think we're backdating.
Just bring it to 12/31/24.
25.
So do you mean 2 additional
And the-
years, or do you mean,
So, Mary Lou, the existing was for a 1 year and 1 month because we started it in 12/21 and it went
Okay.
through 31/22. So but we initiated it. So what the board is saying is let's just make it
Yep.
3-year. So it's gonna be 1/1/23 through 12/31/25. So it'll cover 30, 23, 24, 25.
are you good with whatever the rent is in there for that period?
There is
of
no
time?
rent in here. It's determined, I think.
By resolution or something?
I think it's determined by Ag and Markets Law. I don't know.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I never know. Jill just walks in and hands us a check and says, this is for dog boarding. I don't know how the amount is dictated, but she does know. I will clarify with her. But this agreement is just saying that when we are in possession of dogs that
Yep.
are from their town, that we are following the New York State Ag and Markets laws about how we maintain those dogs. It's to protect us from liability if something
Yep.
happens to one of those dogs while it's under our care.
Yep.
So this isn't about the payment, this is about the conditions.
No,
of-
I don't have the old agreement in front of me, so that I just,
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
did
realize
email
the
this,
payment
I
was
did
in there.
email this one to you, but it was late, so.
I have
maybe-
O&W and Toshiba.
Oh, I guess I didn't. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. So we amended it to say 1/1/23 to 12/31/25.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
I make a motion to block the next 3 resolutions about insurance, unless you want to specifically read each one.
No, we can block them. Except G is just, we do need the number of the or Christina and Kate can find it. It's from the last minutes. I had put in, let me just explain it. I had put in 2050, which was the old number. Minnie then informed me that the IRS raised the rate by $200. We've always done the max. So this is for the flexible spending account. So it's just, this is the motion we adopted last month.
Yeah, you're just editing the number.
So we're just changing the number. Yep. So I have no problem blocking F, G, and H and And can you say to without reading?
Without reading.
Yeah, so
As
you're making a
presented.
I
motion
make
to
a
block
motion
F, G, and H as presented. Okay, do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? For the public, these are three about our health insurance plans. No, so next, setting the workshop meeting date, and I have something to fill in the blank there. Town of Rochester Town Board sets the date of October 19th. Take out the it should say 4A. 2024 budget workshop meeting to be held at 6:30 p.m. will be at the Accord Firehouse Social Hall. And request the town clerk post notice of the meeting, singular. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed? Abstained. The next we are going to table, we did not get back from the state all the approvals.
okay.
It was put on anticipating, and we did not. Two new additional resolutions. This is Marshall and Sterling's official name has changed for this program. It's called the Marshall and Sterling Employee Benefits. So this is the agreement, and they sent it to me and said, it's just a change of name. But I think, Mary Lou, I may or may not have emailed this one to you.
I don't think I have this one.
So it's an agreement between us and Marshall and Sterling. They're just changing their name from Marshall and Sterling in the contract to Marshall and Sterling Employee Benefits Inc. And I put it side by side with the old one. That is the only change throughout the document. So the resolution is authorizing the town supervisor to sign a business associate agreement between Marshall and Sterling Employee Benefits and the town of Rochester for operation of the town of Rochester health reimbursement account.
Second.
Okay, so Charlotte, Adam. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Charlotte, Michael, I don't care. I just said either one. Pick.
I think you did.
And then the last resolution, authorizing a payroll rate change, increasing a payroll rate change, increasing for Constable Amelia Picone to $16.50 per hour, having completed 520 hours probationary period, retroactive to all hours above 520.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
She did it about some point in July, and we didn't have good track of the numbers, so we'll pay her retroactively. We owe her about 100 hours at 50 cents an hour, so we'll pay it in the next payroll period. So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Okay, next. The two kind of go together. The procurement policy and the DocuWare software. You remember we bought that large format scanner,
Yes.
and
How could we
it
forget?
is up and running. Nick from Toshiba, and I'm gonna say him publicly, is my hero.
Aw,
Toshiba had nothing to do with that scanner.
yeah.
He heard about it. He called me. He came here, set it up for us,
What?
did training with the staff.
How did we hear about it?
He heard about it from me. I
Aw.
was talking to him about it one day and he went, really? I can help you set that up. And so
That man in town of Rochester t-shirt.
yeah, absolutely.
Not all heroes wear capes.
So what has transpired since then is, plus we also have this hard drive of
Yeah.
data that we got and no real software to use. So Nick may have had an alternative, ulterior motive. Nick made us aware of this software that they offer for cloud-based storage. It is at a cost of $290 a month. here's the issue.
Take that t-shirt back.
No, the price is fine. That's for 4 users. It's a very good price. I have looked around at other. At $290 a month times 12 months.
Right.
Adam, can you do the math for me?
It's just the 3,500.
It's 34 something, I think.
What was it to
290 times 12.
480?
I thought our procurement policy was 3,500. When I looked at it closer, anything above 3,000 to 750 requires 2 quotes. It just requires 2 quotes. Is it possible to do it? Absolutely. What I was gonna propose is that, and I was gonna propose that we look at this in January at our meeting, at our organizational meeting anyway. So here, let me give you the procurement policy as adopted, and it's 3 years old. In order for us to consider moving forward with this without a second quote, which we could get a second, but we would have to change on page 3 of 4. Letter B, it says equal or less than 7,500 but greater than 3,000. So, and then letter C, the 3,000 would need to change. Just in general, I can tell you from operating on a day-to-day basis, right now, anything that's above $3,000, if we're not buying it on state bid, we got to go get a second quote to properly do our thing. The question is too, and Mary Lou, you can tell us, we do allow exemptions from where is it? Acquisitions of professional services, but I think buying a software is not a professional service. Would you agree on that? You're probably muted.
I agree. I hadn't
You-
spoken yet. I was
Okay,
just nodding till I got to unmute.
yeah,
Yeah, no, that is not a professional service, you know.
I didn't think
An
so.
attorney, an engineer.
We also say sole source situations, but this is not a sole source
Right.
situation.
Right,
I will tell you, Kate and I believe it was Bethany did a training on this software and came back and said, we love it. It's great.
This software?
Yeah. DocuServe or DocuWare or DocuWare. So what I'm basically saying is, do we want to consider changing our procurement policy? Or do you want me to go out and get a second quote for another set of software for something? And I can do that.
What do they
just-
love about it?
What's that?
What do they love about it?
Case, I was in the hospital with COVID when all this came about, so I can't answer any of this.
We don't have any problem changing a procurement policy for one item.
Well,
that's-
if we change the
Kinda seems
procurement
weird.
policy, it's gonna be for future for any item we
Yeah.
buy.
right.
But I also think, the reason I bring it up is, and I was already gonna propose that we change these numbers in January. I wouldn't be bringing this up if it was just for one item. My point is that the 3,000 is it's a self-imposed limit. The state only says the 20,000 or greater, you need to do an RFP. Anything under 20,000, it's up to our local procurement policy. So my thought process is, this spurred the thought, because I'm like, for $500, I gotta go out and find a second bid. I tell you, it's like pulling teeth with some of these companies to get answers. It's taken up an awful lot of time. If I'm just saying, we maybe should consider to raise these numbers to something more manageable, where it's really serving the purpose. And if the answer is, I'm not comfortable doing that on the fly, I'm okay with that, and we can defer this to a later discussion. But I'm just, when I did the math on the software, I literally went, ugh. And I called Nick and I said, I don't think I can do this, because it's too much money for our procurement policy.
Some lower.
Yeah,
My-
we pay yearly, 5-year contract, some will pay them yearly instead of monthly.
I don't think they're going
$400
for it.
discount.
This is their price. I mean, I can ask him for it, but or I can just go get a
I
second.
get serious, I send every year for $5. You can negotiate it now.
I'm
would-
really gonna recommend that you go and get a second quote at this point, and then if you wanna change it, that's great,
Okay.
because it's a bad look if somebody else maybe would have given you something lower.
I
and-
get it.
And they come in and say, wait a second, you know? I
Get
think
it.
the idea of changing it is good, but I think it's kind of iffy to do it
The
and
other,
then immediately approves. A
Understood.
proposal.
understood. The other reason I'm inclined to do this is a vendor that we have established over the last year, a very good working relationship. They have shown great response when there are issues, immediate compared to Xerox we had before, and I don't mind saying it publicly. Xerox was awful, but I was stuck with a 5-year lease with Xerox when I came in, and I had to wait till it was over, and this company has run circles around Xerox with their response, and I guess my point is if every time I spend $3,000, I gotta go out and get 2 quotes, when I could go to a company that we already have a relationship with, and it's gonna be possibly even included in the same bill. I hear Mary Lou's point, and I understand what I'm asking for is probably not a good idea to do tonight, but we really need to look at these numbers and make them be more realistic, because either that or we gotta hire somebody to be our procurement person. Because with all, between writing decisions like this and writing the zoning code, I mean, I'm not complaining, but I was working on a zoning code till 1:30 in the morning last night. I mean,
You're 80 days away from an organization meeting.
Yeah.
How many $3,000 decisions are we gonna make?
I don't know, but it's frustrating, and I feel handcuffed by this procurement policy. So I'll leave it at that. We won't take any action. I'll tell them that, and originally I told Nick that we wouldn't do this till next year, but then we have $8,000 in the budget for software. This is 3,500. So
Makes sense. And
I'll
maybe
get off
our-
my soapbox, but
maybe our department that's using it can hear the other bid for us. Take some time.
well, it's not one department. This will be used by the whole town.
I'm just saying, somebody else can do
Someone
it
else
for you.
Town clerk.
Yeah, we get 4 named.
So the current proposal I was gonna do was that it would be code enforcement. Since we're gonna talk about it, I was gonna split it up into departments. So the named users would be a department name, not an individual. So the departments would be code enforcement, planning and zoning, assessor, and town clerk. Those are the people that are regularly accessing building department records, assessment records, town clerk records. Over time, and I did confirm, we can add more users without changing the contract length. If down the road for $89 a month, and he told me if we get up to more than like 8 or 9 users, then there's another level that's a little more expensive that we could sign up for a different level. It's not the $290 a month, it's more money. But what my thought was is we try it out at this 4 user basic level and then expand from there. But we have so many records in paper format. We've had software in the budget for the code enforcement officer for 3 years now. We still haven't bought something. Admittedly, this presented itself. I didn't go seeking this out. When he was here, he said, "Oh, we can do this." And I went, "Okay." Yes, we can go out and shop it around, but I'm sure, Michael, you can, there's pros and cons of every software out there, but
Yeah, if it's.
I'm sure they're
if
all
it's just-
ultimately the same.
If it's just document management, I'd wanna know when they got a demo, what they were impressed by.
Okay,
It seems like a lot of money.
It does seem like a lot of money. $86 a month per user. Seems like a lot.
well, it's a lot of, well, It's not 86 because it's $290 a month divided by 4. so
Additional
it's-
users.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm just, if it's gonna save time, if it's gonna make it easier for them, but.
let me find out if Kate would
Would you say
be,
that Kate, Bethany?
Kate and Bethany were the two that did it. Like I said, I with COVID. I can't answer that.
Yeah.
So she sent it to me, then I talked to Nick a couple weeks ago, or last week, actually. And originally I told him, we can't do this till next year, but then I started looking at it and I was like, well, maybe we can, and so.
Give Xerox a call.
No, 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 no.
What?
Mhm.
I don't know. Okay, the next thing we have to do is we have to,
It's a seal, they seal. Notary.
so OSI has presented to us two options for kiosk for the ONW Rail Trail, which we had agreed in the initial discussion that we would pay for the kiosk. They are giving us two options to choose from. They are negotiating for all the rail trails that they did as one sort of set price. They also are trying to establish consistency
This is a different.
on the rail trails of similar style kiosks. So we have two proposals here.
What numbers will that?
Here's the second proposal.
Oh,
The cover letter is just an explanation of, I didn't want to try to interpret what she said, and that's why I printed out the email. They do need an answer on this. She sent this to me, well, you can see she sent it on September 19th, and I said, I'm gonna wait until our October 5th board meeting to present this, so. Chrissy, did I give you a copy of that one? Did I give everybody a copy of this one? Because I seem to have an extra one.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are our two proposals. She is really, the timber frame one, she is definitely recommending. And bear in mind, that cost is for the two. Where the two would go is one would go at Town Hall, one would go at the Berm Road entrance. And then Wawarsing is being asked to put one at the Cohasset end, because that's in their town. So we are being asked to provide two. The estimate, the cost that is provided is for two. What's the question?
I just pointed out I have the metal roof on one. My
Oh.
favorite.
I think it's pretty clear which one we probably want to go to, and I kind of like that the other one gives us a picture of it too.
so I just looked up the fawn stock one. It's the exact same thing, cedar roof. There doesn't appear to be any significant difference.
Is that,
It said fawn stock, state park, the same one, so I just looked up a picture of the one,
where'd you see that?
second page. Says,
Which-
fabricate and install one kiosk, the same type as the 3 kiosks installed at fawn stock state
Oh,
park.
okay,
I looked up fawn stock state park kiosk, and yeah, it's just same 2-pillar thing with a cedar roof. This one's
Yeah.
got a metal roof and
so,
10 grand less.
you know, bear in mind that these proposals were not provided, these were provided to OSI. And she's asking us to decide since we're paying for it, so.
10 grand, I don't mind. No, is that for both the 73?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Now, Mary Lou,
Sorry.
since we're talking procurement policy here,
We're fine.
we're paying for it, yes. This was always the agreement. We would. There were several things on this ONW trail that we were gonna do. We agreed to pay for the kiosk. We agreed to pay for the paving of the parking lot. And in return, we got, I don't know how much of the trail being redone.
Okay.
we certainly got it,
Yeah.
a good deal.
Maybe just get the sign and then Rotary Club can build a kiosk.
Stop, stop.
I'm
I
hoping
know
you're
it's
serious.
serious.
So,
Where's an Eagle Scout when you need one?
so, I know. There, we have no Boy Scout troop. We can. I'm just trying to get things done, guys. I'm sorry. I know we can try to save 2,000 here, 1,000 here.
What were you about to say about the?
Well, I'm just, my question, Mary Lou, is, at these prices, we're supposed to have 3 quotes.
I was gonna say, we're supposed
Try
to have,
do.
I would ask her to, especially if she can get it within the next week. First of all, on the timber homes, it is addressed to you. On the other one, it's addressed to OSI. I'd ask her to get that other one to give a direct address to you. And
Okay.
if there's one other that we could get within the next week, then you can approve one next week.
Okay, I mean, I don't even think we're gonna accept, that one is twice as much as the
Right,
other.
absolutely, but you need a third one anyway. So,
Well, actually, if you read it clearly, we have to attempt to have gotten a third.
right, but have we
So,
attempted to have
yeah,
gotten a third?
I don't
No.
know. She provided these to us. and I
Right,
didn't-
so she may have
until-
attempted to, but we haven't.
Okay.
Or she could say, I tried other places.
Yeah.
I've asked other places to give you a quote and no one responded. As long as
Okay.
we have the documentation.
Okay. So we'll table this then and I'll reach back out to do it. Final thing is scenic road, one-way road. I spoke with the highway superintendent. He has no issues with it. I asked Mary Lou to do a little research. According to the highway superintendent, the town, meaning the highway superintendent, has the authority to change a local road from a two-way to a one-way.
It's the
This-
town board that has the authority, not the highway superintendent.
Okay,
And you have to do it, it's not by local law, and it's not by resolution, it's by ordinance, rule, order, or regulation.
Okay.
So I have to look, we haven't done that, we always do local laws.
okay, so
I think a public hearing is gonna be required, so I
well,
will look up the
let's
exact
table this then,
process.
while you find out the answers. Let's just table it, you'll find out the answers.
Yeah, and I'll be able to tell you how you go about doing it.
Yeah.
I think there will have to be a public hearing, and I know I have a memo in my paper somewhere about all the different ways to do these
Right,
different things. We'll find the easiest.
but
Are we
before,
interested in-
hang on one second. Before we ask you to do all that work, let me just see if the
I'm
board
sorry,
is
Mike, the
even
sound
interested
cut
in
out.
doing it. Yeah. What?
You said the sound cut out.
Are you hearing us?
Can you hear me? The sound cut
We-
out? Oh,
We
now I
hear
hear
you
you.
just fine.
Okay, now I hear you.
Okay.
So can you repeat whatever you said before?
Yeah, I said before let me just sort of find out from the board if they want to even proceed with this before we have you do all this work.
Sure, makes sense.
So let me tell the background on this. Back when Tony Spano was highway superintendent, I did approach him because there are a number of accidents at the intersection of Main Street and Scenic coming that direction toward the bridge, including one of our employees who cut somebody off and the woman actually balanced her car on the guardrail. It was very impressive. So I asked Tony, Tony did not like the idea, did not want to do it. His opinion, if we did it, was to have it go from Granite to Main Street, which was totally opposite of what I was projecting. I was saying the other way. During this granary review, some of the neighbors there have brought this up. I can tell you as somebody who takes that road every single day to go to work, it is dangerous as a two-way street. You meet people at that bend. So Jeff is in line with this proposal. We would make it be one way from Main Street to Granite, not the other way. So if there's enough interest in the board, then let's ask Mary Lou to review it and come back to us with what we have to do. But if you guys say, no, we don't want to do this, then we'll just stop it.
Just out of curiosity, do we think that that's gonna increase the traffic? I mean, obviously, it's gonna increase the traffic pattern at the three-way stop that we're proposing.
Well,
Is that gonna affect that where we said 500 in and outs? Is it now gonna be?
no, it's not, because people going to the granary are not gonna come down Main Street, take scenic, and go back on Granite to get to the granary.
So I used the wrong term, but that intersection will now get more use. Is that gonna affect the? It's
No,
gonna
no.
have to, because it's gonna get.
But the study wasn't about the intersection, the study was about trips to the granary.
And that's fair enough, but that intersection is gonna increase.
Agreed.
Traffic.
Agreed.
Is that gonna be a problem?
No, if we're putting stops, if we're asking for stop signs there, it actually will. It's now a channelized intersection. People have to come to a complete stop. It actually helps the problem. So,
I like the idea, though.
yeah.
I like the idea of it. I think, yeah, I would want to go through the process. Hopefully we would get comment.
Yeah, Jeff was confident that it could just be done, but obviously he was incorrect. So we will find out the answer from Aaron, of what we need to do, and we have to hold a public hearing. We will. I don't think anybody in the neighborhood is going to be against it personally.
Yeah, and I've been thinking, because I've been thinking about it a lot, because it came up, and thinking about hopefully what'll happen. Some stragglers might accidentally go that way on their way to the granary, but it will, hopefully what it'll do is change the traffic pattern. So that if you're going, everyone going to that side is funneling, and people that are going, avoiding that intersection are going
Well,
the other way.
if there are a number of people driving to town hall, don't like that road because it's two-way. So
Yeah,
they drive to Granite, turn right.
yeah,
A large number of people, including a number of town employees. I'm the opposite. I've always taken scenic both ways. Clearly, I will go now the other way, but I think there's people who avoid scenic in total because it's two-way, and if it's one-way, I think they might use it. So,
It could end up being a neutral traffic net at the.
Well,
at-
I think
One
so.
way with a bridge, they get to the rail trail.
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, we can explore that. We can
Yeah.
explore that. That would be great.
All right, Mary Lou, look it up.
Okay,
All right,
you're on, Mary Lou. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay,
We are,
so
We got executive session.
we still have executive session that we have to do. So, and we have to meet Mary Lou for that. So, Aaron, do you want to tell me the name? Or you know what? Why don't you just read it and you add the name?
so we are going to adjourn today in memory of Rodney Miller, Linda Quick, and Linda Hetz, and all suffering from gun violence, and the people of Ukraine.
How do you spell the rest?
HETZ.
And do you mind if I say who it is?
My aunt.
Yeah, this is Aaron's aunt, so we're very sorry for your loss and send our condolences to your family. Thank you. Okay,
Motion to enter executive session for the purposes of discussion regarding current litigation.
at 10:25. Yeah. Thanks, Tracy. I'll get to the rest.